route along the Mediterranean heading north towards Gaza City, many of them on foot for a number of different reasons, either too poor to own a car, the fact that their cars could have been destroyed in the war, but also their cars could have been confiscated by Hamas during the war. That happened quite a bit. And finally, a lot of the roads so badly damaged after 2 years of fighting, on foot is the only way to travel.
Fox's Steve Harrigan in Tel Aviv. President Trump will travel to Israel in the coming days. Next hour, he'll go to Walter Reed Medical Center for a health checkup. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers are off the job a 10th straight day, while those deemed essential keep working without pay and will have to through at least Tuesday. That's when the Senate may vote next as a fight over funding continues. House Speaker Mike Johnson blames Democrats and tells Fox,
I'm a very patient guy, but I have had it with these people. They're playing games with real people's lives.
But the Senate's Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says it's Johnson's fault as Democrats demand health care provisions in the bill.
People will go bankrupt. People will get sick. People will die.
America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What Vice President J.D. Vance is doing in Indianapolis today. Clear radar, 45 degrees in downtown Indianapolis, going up to 70. I'm Ryan Hedrick for Window Nation. Here's what's trending at 9:02.
We're a part-time legislature. We're not meeting right now, so we're going to change the maps. We got to come back in. We got to get back to work. And so that, it's step one, but then we've got to get a map together. We've got to get it passed.
And that is State Representative Andrew Ireland joining Steve Bannon's War Room on Thursday to explain that a special session must be called before any redrawing of voting maps can move forward.
I think this is a perfectly legal process, and we're going to get a map that's going to stick. But there are going to be judges and there are going to be lawyers that are going to try to stand in the way of that. And so there's going to have to be a process there. We're going to have to litigate this out, which means we have to give ourselves time to get the job done.
And Vice President J.D. Vance on his way to Indianapolis right now to meet with Republican leaders who backed redistricting. Indy's FOP president, Rick Snyder, is criticizing a judge's light 2-year sentence for a driver who led police on a chase that killed 3 people. Officials say the case exposes flaws in the Marion County criminal justice system, and he urges the Indiana legislature to strengthen sentencing.
What we're encouraging the State House to do is to finally move fleeing in a motor vehicle resisting law enforcement and classify it as a violent felony. It's no surprise to anyone the dangers that are involved when a violent offender flees from police.
And police leaders have repeatedly raised concerns about low bonds, lenient sentences, and weak performances in the Marion County criminal justice system. The Wolfpack of North Carolina State is Notre Dame's next opponent on Saturday, and this matchup features high-power offenses on both sides. Here's Len Clark.
NC State has the ACC's leading rusher, Hollywood Smothers, who averages more than 100 yards a game, and quarterback C.J. Bailey, one of the nation's most accurate passers. Add in Terrell Anderson, a deep threat wideout with game-breaking speed, and the Wolfpack can strike from anywhere on the field. NC State can light up the scoreboard, but they've also given up big plays on defense. That balance or breakdown could decide the game on Saturday in South Bend. Len Clark, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The state executed death row inmate Roy Lee Ward this morning in Michigan City, and the Indiana Pacers say guard T.J. McConnell will miss a month with a hamstring injury. With a look at your traffic, here's Matt Bear.
All right, Ryan. Greenwood northbound 65 at County Line Road. A crash on the right shoulder, slow to Main. Southeast side crash. Westbound 465 after 74 southeastern car in the ditch. No delay at the moment. South side northbound 65 slows Raymond Street into the south split because of construction. At north side, eastbound 465 tight between Ditch and Meridian. Traffic sponsored by Staples. Have you heard the Staples? Easy Bunton is back with even more easy. Press it for custom print shipping services, even passport photos. Staples, that was easy. I'm Matt Bear with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
Listen up, football fans. You won't want to miss this.
Right now, new Bet365 customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. So you could turn that $200 into something bigger when you bet on money line, spread, totals, player props.
$200 in bonus bets when new customers bet $5. I know where I'm going to bet from now on. Download the app today and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Indiana. T&Cs apply. In-app only.
Hensley's Legal Group is one of those firms that puts the client above all else.
We pride ourselves in caring and communication.
We're extremely passionate about helping them through their tough times.
We truly want to see our clients get better.
It happens. Hire Hensley.
This hour powered by Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard Air dealer.
Now your forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Chilly start this morning leads to sunshine and mild conditions this afternoon. Today's high around 70. Partly cloudy tonight. Maybe a few spotty showers north. Overnight, a low of 52. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey, 93 WIBC.
It feels like fall outside on Monument Circle, just 42 degrees, clear skies. I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level on the go. And at WIBC.com, Kendall and Casey starts right now.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
That's right. This is Kendall and Casey, and I'm Craig Collins, who has often filled in for Tony Katz, the show that just ended a second ago in the morning news. I'm here doing this shift because why not? Thrilled to be here. Thrilled to have Kevin along for the ride, and you guys as well, listeners, the audience. It's awesome to be a part of more shows on WIBC. Let's get right into it. So the first thing that we have to talk about, of course, is the peace deal in the Middle East. The peace deal between Gaza and Hamas, between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. And what's crazy about this to me, and I like the fact that I get a little bit more time to chat about this on this show, on this time slot. But what's crazy about this to me is that they called Trump Hitler, and he's actually ushered in peace in Israel. I think that the Babylon Bee made that joke, and I think that several other organizations made that joke. But he is instrumental in this. His administration instrumental because the two sides do not communicate with each other. So the United States brokered the peace deal, and the ceasefire has immediately started. I know that some people were talking about some strikes that happened just before the ceasefire. I'm one of those people that thinks that once the actual thing has locked in, not that I prefer, and I think President Trump also feels this way, you don't want to have fighting right before the ceasefire. But once it's locked in, you hope from that point on things go as smoothly as possible, which is crazy to say in the situation that's going on anywhere in the world when conflict and whatnot is a part of it. The fact that there are still living hostages is one of the most amazing aspects of this conversation, of this story. Not all of the hostages that will be returned are alive. They will return the remains of what is believed to be, I think, about 25 deceased hostages. And there's something really horrible. This is Hamas returning these people to Israel. There's something really horrible about this story in that they're not sure they can find the remains of everyone. That's a real thing that was communicated during the peace agreement, is that some of the remains will be difficult to locate. So it might take a while, and there might be like a team of people created to locate those remains, which is horrific. But I think there's something like 20 mostly young men who are likely to be returned from, Gaza, from Hamas to Israel. And then there's a whole lot of Palestinian people who are in jail in Israel that will be sent back to Palestine. So I find that interesting, too. But yes, President Trump has ushered in peace in the Middle East. Love him, hate him, whatever you think about the guy. Calling him a Nazi has always been weird, especially considering his closeness to Israel and his willingness to help them have this, happen. All right. Some other things out there, and we will play audio throughout the show as we go here, too. Trump said that the whole world came together to secure the Israel-Hamas peace deal after months of deadlock and months of negotiation. He also suggested that there might be some other avenues for things going on in the near future. Look, there's only one conflict left now. If Russia, I should take that back. There's probably more than one conflict left in the world. Currently, only one more that has the eyes of the world on it, and that would be, Russia and Ukraine. If Trump can also get a peace deal there, I don't know how he's not celebrated as someone who does bring peace to a whole lot of places throughout the entire world. It seems kind of crazy to not celebrate that aspect of this individual, again, regardless of if you like him or hate him. which I don't know. But all right, let's move on to some other things out there. We can talk quickly about the ongoing shutdown for our government. I should say something before I get into anything else on that, because there's something I feel like I always need to say when I talk about this topic. I don't care if the government shuts down. And sometimes when I say that, people get mad. I've said that before, and then people will yell. Well, I don't know if they're yelling. They'll type in all caps, and they'll send me messages. So it seems like yelling. But anyway, people will tell me that how dare I say that? The only thing I care about when the government shuts down is that military men and women, especially those who are actively serving, but anybody tied to our military, still gets paid. And that system actually doesn't happen. The politicians have to vote on that to get the military men and women to still be paid if the checks stop, which is crazy. So that's the only thing I ever care about. If we can get that done, shutting down the rest of the government, it doesn't bother me. To be honest, I feel like I won't even notice by the time it gets kicked back on. If you're someone who works for the government, I'm sure you feel differently. But to be honest, they also, I think, wind up getting your payback and all that crap that they do. And the politicians themselves get paid the entire time, which is utterly broken as a system goes. If they threaten to do something, if they threaten to shut everything down, the first people that should lose their money are the politicians. But anyway, that is a big discussion, a big conversation. And I think that Speaker Mike Johnson said recently that the problem is the Democrats, of course. He called out Schumer for continuing the government shutdown. Of course, this back and forth stuff is something you see all the time. And it seems complicated. This is paraphrasing what Johnson said. What's happening in Washington right now, it's actually very simple. A majority of the Senate is already on our side. So this really does get down to Leader Schumer and the bulk of his caucus. Just saying, no, we don't want to do things whatever way you want to do them. We want to keep pain going. This is the last thing I'll say about this. As I said, as we get into the show, I promise I have a bunch of audio that we'll play. It won't just be me talking the whole time. And Kevin can jump in too if he feels like he wants to on any of this stuff or anything else we talk about. But I will say one other thing just about the idea that Schumer is just trying to extend pain in general, which is, I believe, what Mike Johnson is really trying to say. Democrats have always had that plan with Trump. Let's harm whatever is going well. If anything is going good over here or over there, let's do everything we can to bring a negative into the equation and then focus on it and tell the American people that it's 100% Trump's fault. That's the MO all the time. And it's annoying, and it's probably one of the biggest reasons that D.C. is so dysfunctional. And annoying might not be a strong enough word for it, but essentially that's what's happening now. I believe that there are Democrats who will just try as hard as they can to make anything that they think harms Trump last as long as possible, regardless of whether or not it's good for you and me, the American people. And that means we should really be mad at those individuals. Those are the people that our ire should be most targeting, because they're the ones who are screwing everything up for us, for everybody. They're the ones who are adding, pain in ways that it doesn't need to be, simply because they think it wins them political points for an election down the road, which is insane. And I think the American people are much more woken up to that. I wonder if you believe that too. I imagine the listeners at WIBC, 93 WIBC, absolutely do believe a lot of, of what has happened over the last few years has created an awareness within the American people that makes us much more capable, much more likely to notice some of the crap and games that get played in D.C. But this seems like it's one of those things. And to be honest, the other big fight in all of it was just Washington, again, trying to be Washington in trying to take away from the big, beautiful bill that Trump passed however they could the next time, down the road. They wanted to change some of those rules that were already changed because of the big, beautiful bill, and a lot of money to people who are here illegally to get free medicine. Those things are bad. Many Americans didn't support those things. But I just find that very interesting, too, that essentially the reason we're even in a shutdown in the first place is Democrats didn't like the L they took in the big, beautiful bill a little while ago, and they were trying to immediately reverse that L within this, fight right now. And they're also trying to push the pain as hard as possible. All right. We do have a lot to talk about, as I said. A lot to get to and a lot of audio to play. But thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be filling in for Kendall and Casey on a 93 WIBC. This is Craig Collins. More coming up in a bit.
Hammer and Nigel.
America has a new favorite beer. It's Mick Ultra. If you remember, Modelo was the #1 beer in America. They're blaming Trump. The Trump administration's immigration policies have affected its sales.
Come on. At least Cracker Barrel came out and said, hey, we screwed up. We're going to go back to the way things were. Bud Light never did.
Hammer and Nigel. Weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Hey, it's Hammer and Nigel here for Window Nation. October is here, and you know what it means. The return of all things pumpkin-flavored, earlier sunsets, and chilly air seeping into your home. That is, if you've got those old, stuck, cracked windows. Ready to eliminate annoying drafts once and for all? Reach out to the experts at Window Nation. This month, when you buy 2 windows, you'll get 2 more for free, and your total price includes 1-day installation. With Window Nation, you also won't have to make any payments for 2 years, which is a big deal with the holiday season coming up. Check it out at windownation.com.
Window Nation has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and that gives you the peace of mind when you're deciding on whether or not you're working with the right company. Put an end to your window problems with Window Nation. Now through October 31st, buy 2 windows, get 2 for free. And you don't pay anything for 2 years with Window Nation. Visit windownation.com today. That's windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Welcome to Tire Discounters. Oh, hiya, Phantom.
Mike, I think I saw a fox on my way in.
Oh, that was the Carfax Carfox. He was congratulating us on our Carfax Top-Rated Service Center Award.
I have always rated Tire Discounters at the very top.
Oh, thanks. So does Carfax. And not just for tires, but for all our services, too.
Alignment, brakes, shocks, and struts, and more.
Yes, sir.
But, Mike, do you think people believe Carfax over me?
Well, you are the Phantom tire buyer.
Exactly.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion? That's billion with a B? Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words Micro. That's pound 250, Micro.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take DayQuil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the DayQuil.
Undo your flu symptoms with DayQuil Intense Flu. DayQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
DayQuil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Technology Recyclers is the safe and ethical choice for your computer and electronics recycling. R2 certified, 100% landfill free, guaranteed destruction of data, and absolutely free pickups. Visit tech-recyclers.com.
At Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling, our mission is to provide honest assessments and recommendations. We promise you'll never be sold something you don't need.
PricePointComfort.com. They are your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air dealer.
WIBC. This is Kendall and Casey. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you in this early midday show for Kendall and Casey. Rob likes to talk about how I was almost their producer several years ago. And that is true. And I am thrilled to now be asked to jump in on this show. We're hanging out all day with our friend as well, Kevin, who's a part of the show. So I thought this was interesting. These are the top Halloween costumes of this year. And I don't know what most of these things are. I feel old. I'm turning 40 on Halloween. That's actually my birthday. And this is the first time that I've looked through like a top 10 list on Google and been like, never heard of that, never heard of that. Part of the reason why is that the top 5 are all from the same thing. K-pop Demon Hunters. You got Rumi, Zoe, Mira, Jinyu, I think, and then Baby Saja, if I'm saying those right. But those are all the top 5 costumes, which I've never heard of any of that. Well, I've heard of K-pop. I haven't watched it. And then the chicken jockey from Minecraft is on this. I think that's the movie. The Labubu is number 7 on the list of top Halloween costumes. and then more K-pop Demon Hunter. And then finally you have Elphaba from Wicked, which I have heard of that. I know what that is. My favorite part of this story, though, is Indianapolis. And maybe we can have Kevin try to guess. There was one pretty awesome appearance of a top 5 character that's not in the top 10 list I just shared for the nation, that's just in Indy. That's not like a new thing. This is an older thing, but apparently this is always a top 5 costume in Indy, and it makes me very happy. Do you want to take a shot at what it could be?
Trying to think. I mean, is it an athlete, or is it
kind of? It's a fake athlete, and I'll give you another hint. The world of racing is on display.
Oh, okay. Man, I'm drawing a blank here.
It's okay. It was played by Will Ferrell, the character.
Oh, Talladega Nights?
Yeah, Ricky Bobby.
Oh, nice. Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Bobby is in the top 5 in Indy every year, according to Indianapolis. I love that people are like, yeah, I don't know what Halloween costume I'm going to go with this year. It could be the Labubu. It could be any of this other stuff, but it also could just be my Ricky Bobby, my tried and true Ricky Bobby, which came in exactly at number 5. Do you know what the K-pop Demon Hunter is?
I have no idea. I'm not a big K-pop guy personally.
Okay. All right. I think isn't it like a Netflix show? And then it became a big thing and people care about it. I don't know. But most of the costumes this year are the K-pop and the Demon Hunter, which I think is the same thing. People are sharing the strangest rules their parents had for them growing up. I do love a lot of these. No turning on the lights during thunderstorms was one of the top ones on this list of like weird stuff your parents said you had to do. No wearing clothing with faces on them, like a Mickey Mouse shirt or anything else. You couldn't do that. Was what somebody else shared on Reddit, and I love when they make these lists. We had to drink a huge glass of milk every morning as a kid because my parents believed it would make us grow tall, but I was lactose intolerant, so it ended up making me sick every morning. That's another one on the list. That's not a good one. And then one more, and then maybe we'll share some of ours. We had one drink cup by the sink. If you're thirsty, you had to use that cup and share it with your other family members. And it only went in the dishwasher once every few days because they didn't want to keep washing the water cup. That is gross. I've never heard of that before. Did you have any weird things that the family did growing up, Kevin?
Well, I know I wasn't allowed to touch the thermostat.
Of course. That's correct.
Yeah, my dad would get pretty angry about that. That's the big one for me.
Yeah. I didn't have a lot. I feel like it's always weird when I talk about this stuff because I say this and mom gets mad. My mother, I'm a millennial. She likes to listen to what I do on the radio. But I feel like I didn't have a lot of rules from Ma. They came from grandma and grandpa when you went to grandma and grandpa's house. And one of the ones I remember is that you always had to drink a full glass of milk before you could have any other beverage. If you went to grandma and you're like, I'd like a soda, she goes, that's fine. Full glass of milk first, then you get your soda. And you had to have a lot of milk if you wanted to have a lot of other beverages throughout the day because it was always 1 and 1. And that was terrible. And then I do remember the other rule for grandma is that everyone had to be seated at the table for dinner before dinner was served and the entirety of the time that dinner was being served. And you were only allowed to leave the table once everyone was done. And she made fancy dinners. So you wanted to stay for grandma's dinner, but it was like a restaurant. Had to be seated first, couldn't leave until the whole thing was over, which is a very simple rule. I don't think a lot of people don't have that rule for kids. But it was very difficult when you're a child and at your house, you're used to eating and then running back outside. All right. Some other things out there. I did see this one too. I know stepping on the bath mat with wet feet was a rule that somebody shared, which is odd because I thought that's what the bath mat was for. But darn it, apparently not. And then, let's also do this quickly. I am a giant Yankee fan. I've talked about the Yankees, I think, occasionally while filling in for Tony Katz. They are out of the playoffs. That's not the intention of this. But I am still paying attention a little bit to baseball. Do we care about the Cubs in Indianapolis, Kevin? Is that something that people care about or no?
Yeah, I grew up as a Cubs fan. I don't follow them much these days, but yeah, definitely they're big. They got a big following.
Okay, so they just won yesterday. So they forced a Game 5, which will be going back to Milwaukee. And I think that happens not today, but tomorrow. I wonder, it hurts me as a guy who lived in Chicago for a long time that the Yankees failed to do the things the Cubs just did, which was go down 2-0 and then force a Game 5. I wonder if either team is really going to win this year, though. The Dodgers, who already, moved on to the next round, absolutely look like the best team in baseball again. They absolutely, or I guess the Blue Jays, which hurts me to say, but we'll see. I think the Yankees were just bad this year. I think in the next round, whoever winds up playing the Blue Jays won't wind up being as easy of a contest as it was for the Yankees. But nonetheless, what I think is really interesting about this whole thing, and the Tigers do play tonight to see if they wind up being the opponent for the Blue Jays, which I'm kind of guessing they will be. But the Cubs being a comeback story again in 2025 is, I think, something that a lot of people seem to like. I think it's always fun. For some reason, and I guess this is the question I'll ask before we take a break in a couple minutes, the Cubs are one of the more attractive teams to follow and cheer for when you're not an actual fan of them, like when your team is out, if they're lovable losers. If they're a team that looks like they shouldn't win and do, if they were ever dominant, I don't think they'd attract fans of teams, of people who, no longer have someone to cheer for, people like me. Although I do have a very strong rule about that. I don't change my allegiance no matter what. So I'm a Yankee fan, which means for me, baseball's over. But a lot of people, I think, will wind up being Cubs fans as the Cubs progress in the playoffs if they do. And I wonder if that's just because of the lovable loser thing. Even though they've won a World Series now, I wonder if that's just all it is. And again, I would never want them to be dominant because I think that would ruin the team. Do you have any thoughts about that, Kevin?
No. I don't. Not really. No.
That's okay. That's all right. No big deal. We'll figure it out. We'll work on it as we go, and we'll see. What do you like? Tell me a little bit about you, Kevin, with 1 minute to go.
I like music mostly, and
okay.
Yeah. If you want to talk about music with anything, I could talk about that for a while.
So, actually, this is one little quick thing. Back in the Halloween costume stuff, the number one makeup package that people are purchasing, which is a weird thing that apparently Google also has a trend on, is Kiss makeup. So people are still going as the band Kiss. Is that something that you're a fan of?
I'm a Kiss fan, personally.
All right.
I didn't know they really crossed generations like that.
I didn't know either. Would you do the costume? Would you throw on all the Kiss makeup?
I guess if I had a few buddies that would do that with me, maybe I would.
Yeah, and a few beers.
Many beers.
Exactly. All right, cool. All right, we'll take a break. We got a lot coming up. This is Kendall and Casey. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Kevin hanging out. More in a bit.
Fall in Indy, and if you hate the paint, do what your neighbor Don did. He called Rhino Shield.
Well, the home was built in 1948. Paint on the aluminum siding was peeling, and I couldn't find anyone who would repaint it until I called Rhino Shield.
Rhino Shield's better than paint, and the crew?
Painted all my aluminum siding, and I've got a front porch that runs the whole length of the house, and all the pillars and everything. And once they were gone, I couldn't even tell that they were there.
With Rhino Shield's 25-year transferable warranty, you'll never have to paint your home again. And right now, you can have Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
Well, I've told a lot of people, do the Rhino Shield. It's really a great product, and if you don't want to paint the house, that would be the way to go.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino!
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
20 ribeyes for $35. That's 20 ribeyes for $35 at 2 locations in Indianapolis going on now. 20 ribeyes for only $35 in the Hardee's parking lot near Walmart at West 86th Street and Michigan Road. Just look for the big truck. Also in the Hardee's lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. Also on the big truck is cases of T-bones, fillets, New York strips, burgers, and a whole lot more. Big truck sale. Marinated chicken breasts too. Don't wait. Big steak sale at 2 different locations. In the Hardee's parking lot near Walmart at West 86th Street and Michigan Road. Also in the Hardee's lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. 20 ribeyes for just $35. Don't wait. Everything must go. Last chance this week. Big truck sale. That's 20 ribeyes for $35. West 86th Street and Michigan Road, and the second location in the Hardee's parking lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. Get there before the truck is gone.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
People are already lining up outside the State House. It's a cool morning, 45 degrees in downtown Indianapolis, going up to 70 today. I'm Ryan Hedrick, and here's what's trending at 9:30.
So you have a recliner out here. This is very interesting.
Yes, well, let's be really specific. It's a couch recliner.
Okay.
Yes, we wanted to make sure that we let the Vice President J.D. Vance know that, we brought his favorite thing.
And that is Cassie Jackson, who has set up a recliner along North Capitol Avenue, right outside the State House, awaiting Vice President J.D. Vance, who's scheduled to appear in Indianapolis today to discuss redistricting. A ceasefire is now in effect in Gaza.
The Israeli military says the truce with Hamas came into effect at noon local time. Troops now withdrawing to pre-agreed lines, which will leave Israel controlling for now just over half of the Gaza Strip. Once the troop redeployment is complete, Hamas will have 72 hours to release the 20 remaining living hostages and send home the bodies of 28 others. Aid is now scheduled to pour into Gaza. Palestinians are beginning to return to neighborhoods now reduced to rubble. Hamas says it's been assured by the U.S. and others that the war is over.
And that's Fox's Jonathan Savage. American forces are going to be in Israel to help oversee the ceasefire in Gaza. And Sister Jean Dolores Schmidt, the beloved longtime chaplain of the Loyola Chicago men's basketball team, who became a folk hero during its Cinderella run to the Final Four in 2018, has died. She was 106 years old. And your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. All three major indices are up this morning. The Dow is up 100 points to 46,358.42. The S&P 500 is up 5.5 to 6735.11. And the NASDAQ is up 13 to 25,098.176. I'm Ryan Hedrick, on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or Sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1-day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's four walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
AdventKnows.com.
Most insurance accepted.
What if you had the smartest Wi-Fi? If you did, it'd be Xfinity, of course, and it'd come with their best state-of-the-art equipment. It would boost speeds to the devices that needed them most, prioritizing your most important connections, whether you were streaming, gaming, or gaming while pretending to work. And it would let you stream 4. That's right, 4 games on one screen. It would even power your mobile connection so you could bring faster, secure Wi-Fi speeds with you where you use it most. It would be proactive and fix problems before you knew you had them. Impressive, right? And it would have security features that protect you from threats at home and online. Kinda like a force field for your life. If you had the smartest Wi-Fi, well, everything would work together seamlessly to keep you connected, no matter what. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. What if you had the smartest Wi-Fi? If you did, it'd be Xfinity, of course, and it'd come with their best state-of-the-art equipment. It would boost speeds to the devices that needed them most, prioritizing your most important connections, whether you were streaming, gaming, or gaming while pretending to work. And it would let you stream 4. That's right, 4 games on one screen. It would even power your mobile connection so you could bring faster, secure Wi-Fi speeds with you where you use it most. It would be proactive and fix problems before you knew you had them. Impressive, right? And it would have security features that protect you from threats at home and online. Kind of like a force field for your life. If you had the smartest Wi-Fi, well, everything would work together seamlessly to keep you connected, no matter what. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply.
The Attorney General's Office, reuniting Hoosiers with over $1 million in unclaimed property every week. Visit indianaunclaimed.gov or text Hammer and Nigel to 46220 today.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show. My name is Craig Collins. The audio may have changed as I'm on a phone line with some power issues where I'm broadcasting from. But darn it, that doesn't matter. We got Ryan Hedrick talking about the vice president. Ryan, how you doing, buddy?
How are you, Craig?
Good, real good. J.D. Vance in Indianapolis. He wants to redistrict all of Indy or all of Indiana. What do you got?
Yeah, so, 7 of the 9 congressional seats are already red, right? Like, we are the reddest of the red in the country, one of the most reddest states, maybe the reddest state in the country. But Republicans from the Trump administration have been pushing this. And J.D. Vance was in Indiana in August, and there are a lot of interesting-looking protesters outside the State House right now. I just jogged over, which the station is like 5 minutes from the State House, so I jogged over between the 9 and 9:30 newscast to see what I can see. And I met 2 people, and Craig, this is crazy. They dragged a couch out of their truck. They got here at 6 in the morning. They dragged a couch out of their trunk. They're parked right in front of the State House, and here's what they had to say.
Hey, this is Cassie Jackson. We're out downtown in front of the State House in Indianapolis, Indiana. We have the Vice President, J.D. Vance, coming, and we wanted to bring a little gift from him for him. We know he loves couches. Here's our tag, from Antifa, because I know he loves Antifa as well, and we wanted to make him feel comfortable. We're also going to be gifting it to him if he'd like to take it home at the end.
My name's Michelle Monroe. I'm from Anderson, Indiana. Yeah, I'm down here with Kath. We're here to protest the redistricting. We're not going to stand for tipping the scales so that Republicans can maintain power.
Yeah, so a special session, this is what people are freaking out about, Craig. A special session would cost taxpayers in Indiana about $150,000. So Governor Braun at first, according to my reporting, didn't seem too keen on this. And then something changed in like the past month where he was like, okay, well, everybody else is talking about it, so we're going to start talking about it as well. So the challenge is you're getting people to a special session, and there's a really small window to do this, right? You don't have much time to get everybody in, to count the votes, to get everybody on the same side. So it's going to be a challenge, to say the least. But I think it's interesting in the middle, or not in the middle, at the beginning of a government shutdown, we're like, 10 days in? So they're going to bring Air Force 2 to Indianapolis, and it's probably arriving here in a couple of minutes. And J.D. Vance is going to spend, a few hours talking to Republican leadership here.
Okay, so a couple things, Ryan, in reaction to everything. First, your job is incredible, and your commitment to your job is incredible, because you decided to go to the State House, and then you saw 2 people setting up a couch that seemed like they're crazy, and you're like, this soundbite. We got to talk to these people. We got to know what they think. Do you have anything that you left on the cutting room floor? Like, is there a bunch of stuff they said that you're like, not going to use that, can't use that?
Well, I mean, they had they did have some choice words for Rob Kendall off mic. This woman, her name's Cass Jackson, and I think the Indy Reporter retweeted this, and she is no fan of Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith, and Rob isn't. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but he's been outspoken against Lieutenant Governor Beckwith. But she had some choice words for Rob, Kendall, and Casey. Not a fan of theirs. Not a fan of WIBC's. Although she does listen.
Okay.
Yeah, she listens. So that's a good thing. We have her pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, well, that's nice. I think that the people who are most angry sometimes listen the most, which is great for us. We want the audience, so that's awesome. The other thing, I just love the fact that you decided, in between a half hour, that you're going to actually physically jog to the State House close by just to see. You didn't know that there were going to be some people sitting up with a couch. And can I also complain about the laziness of the couch move? Like, I know they're trying to make a point, but still, if you're protesting, I think you got to stand. I think that's one of the first things in the protesting rules. So I already feel like they don't count as far as protesters go because they're lazying this whole thing up.
Yeah, and they actually, I mean, I don't know if they're actual Antifa members because I've been attacked by Antifa. Maybe that's a different segment for later, but
wow.
They are dressed like Antifa, so they told me that they're going to have a more formal protest at noon to talk about this.
Okay.
And I want to point out that in 22, the governor in Indiana is the only one empowered to call a special session. So there was like a 2-week special session in Indiana, I think in 22, that cost taxpayers almost $250,000. So that's another part of this that's so contentious, Craig, is like people that are fiscally conservative are like, no, I don't want to call a special session. Just leave the voting maps the way they are. They're already dominating. Republicans are already dominating the state. Just leave it that way.
No, I get it. I get the whole saving money thing, and I get anybody that wants to, and I guess real quick, if you don't mind having a conversation about the redistricting stuff itself, I actually live in Texas. Mm-hmm. So we started it. You're welcome, as far as that all goes. It's our fault, not anybody else's. But I guess the thing that I've seen from jump is that Democrats have done an incredibly good job of gerrymandering the crap out of very Democratic places like Illinois or California or New York, so much so that J.B. Pritzker pops up on television and while he's trying to attack Trump, can't seem to justify the ridiculousness of the map in Illinois and what it looks like. But they do it every 10 years. They do it every chance that they think is appropriate. It feels as though Republicans are trying to fight fire with fire and maybe haven't done this as well in the past as they thought they could. Now, granted, Indiana is a tough place to choose because of how red the state already is. But I just wonder if that's a component that might make people say, well, if we're trying to fight a system that's already been rigged against us by playing the same game, not that Republicans are new to this, they've been gerrymandering too. I wonder if that gets you over the hurdle of just not wanting to see it happen. And especially if it works. The other thing that I think would be terrible is to spend a bunch of money and not have it work because people do still have to show up and vote places. And there are times where voting doesn't go the way you expect it to. And so a surprise win happens. It would be bad to spend money and lose.
Yeah,
but what are your thoughts on that? The fact that, go ahead.
Yeah, you're going to have to litigate all this stuff. You're going to have to get all the votes. You're going to have to make sure you have the votes to get this stuff done. And then you're going to have to find judges that are going to sign off on this because across the state, you're going to have judges running interference. Another thing about the redistricting in Texas and California, I lived in California for 22 years. And I was pretty I was pretty surprised about how flagrant the Democrats were with the voting maps there. I mean, you'll never get Republicans. You'll probably get another Republican governor ever again. And every election cycle, every census that comes out, California just finds more ways to tighten the Democrat leash. And they had the whole state gerrymandered in their favor. So other states do this. I think it's a dog and pony show anytime people say, you can't have Indiana redistrict, 2 more of the congressional maps. We're already 7 of 9. It should happen if the Republicans are in charge. We should redraw the maps to the favor of the power of the party in charge.
Yeah, mostly because, as you said, and it's funny that you lived in California and I lived in Chicago, Illinois for as long as I did, because, yes, those maps are all ridiculous, and the odds of the other party ever taking power was non-existent. And the funny thing about Illinois is you get outside of the city of Chicago, and it's as red as Indiana is.
Sure.
Like every other part of that state feels red, and yet, the system is unfairly designed the way it is, so why not fight that way? I wonder if that's what J.D. Vance will say. I doubt it. He's more eloquent than I am about this stuff. You mentioned something a second ago, though, Ryan, and I don't know if we're up against a break, and I feel like most of the listeners have been asking themselves this question since you said it. You were attacked by Antifa.
Yeah,
and you said we could do it on another show.
Mm-hmm.
I got time, buddy. If you want to talk about, what have you told this story before on WIBC?
No, I have not told it on WIBC. It's the opportunity has never come up. So back in 21, I was working as an assistant program director at a station in Frederick, Maryland, an AM news station with a conservative format, and I got word that Antifa was going to be out on a Saturday standing in front of a city council member's house protesting a vote that she had about social justice. So I went out there, and, you know, they were dressed in black. They had black umbrellas. They had blinding flashlights. It was hard to cover them. And I was standing between the council member's house and the Antifa members, about 20 deep. And they were standing in the street. I was standing on the sidewalk, and they were boxing me into her porch. And I got scared because they were pushing the umbrellas to my face. So I just snatched one of the umbrellas from their hand so I could see what was going on behind that umbrella, and they bum rushed me. And I bet that if you Google Ryan Hedrick from WFMD Radio attacked by Antifa, there will be an article because it was retweeted a lot of times. And I'm pretty sure it got the attention of Andy No, who's a journalist that was almost killed by Antifa. So, yeah, it was one of the craziest, scariest assignments I've ever had. And I thought the guy that rushed me had on a bulletproof vest and a helmet, and he was going to hit me with his flashlight. I thought I was going to die that night covering a news story.
Wow, I feel horrible that you had to go through something like that, but it is amazing to hear you say that. The reason that they attacked you was because you were news media, or why do you think that they tried to harm you in the first place?
I think they did that because I snatched the umbrella out of their hand. They got pissed off that I would do that. The second thing is I had an American flag cell phone case cover, and I had my phone pointed horizontally, and they kept telling me I was a stupid fascist for having an American flag phone cover on my phone. So I was, they do those tactics. They're famous. Those flashlights they hit you with are like police SWAT flashlights where they blind your eyes. And they have serious military tactics that they used. And I can attest, it's not hyperbole what other journalists are going through. I do think it is military tactics, well organized, well funded, and they are a big problem, a big, big problem in Portland, Oregon right now that not a lot of people are covering. They're dangerous. Did we lose you? Think we may have lost him.
Hello?
Yeah, we got him.
Oh, no, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back. It clicked out for a second. Yeah. No, I agree with you that it's a very, very big problem. That it's surreal to hear you describe in such great detail with someone, who actually experienced firsthand how horrific this can be and how well, organized as it seemed to be, because it seems that money funds it. I do hope Indianapolis sees no version of that today. I hope they see no version of a large turnout, coming from but maybe they will. I don't know why I'm suddenly much happier that it's just two people on a couch. And also, I'm kind of impressed that you ran out there to go see that, having the experience that you've had in your life, and you're like, yeah, what, screw it, let's go see.
Well, you could follow on X. I posted it on the X account, and I think we're going to be uploading it to the WIBC social media channels, Instagram and Facebook. But yeah, check it out. I have to go get ready for my 10 o'clock newscast, Craig. Good chatting with you, bud.
Perfect. Yep. Good to chat with you too, Ryan Hedrick. Awesome content. A quick break, a lot more. Craig Collins filling in on the Kendall and Casey Show.
Hey, it's Casey filling in for the #1 rated Hammer and Nigel show. And to celebrate, I may not wear pants. Join me Friday on 93 WIBC.
What if you had the smartest Wi-Fi? If you did, it'd be Xfinity, of course. And it'd come with their best state-of-the-art equipment. It would boost speeds to the devices that needed them most, prioritizing your most important connections, whether you were streaming, gaming, or gaming while pretending to work. And it would let you stream 4. That's right, 4 games on one screen. It would even power your mobile connection so you could bring faster, secure Wi-Fi speeds with you where you use it most. It would be proactive and fix problems before you knew you had them. Impressive, right? And it would have security features that protect you from threats at home and online. Kinda like a force field for your life. If you had the smartest Wi-Fi, well, everything would work together seamlessly to keep you connected, no matter what. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply.
The fall season continues at Sundown Gardens. Visit the Garden Center for a large selection of locally grown mums, pumpkins, gourds, and fall decor. Now's a great time to shop and save. Happening now at Sundown Gardens, save 50% on all pottery and herbaceous perennials. The nursery is still full of a great fall selection of trees and shrubs. Save 50% on select nursery items. Sundown Gardens, located on the corner of 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield. SundownGardens.com.
Simple Quarters has helped over 3,000 families sell their homes in Indiana.
And it's really important to me, too, why we're getting to do this, is that you get to go be with Bay.
I get to go be with my husband.
Simple Quarters was the best option for me because I ended up connecting with Ronnie on a personal level. There was no BS involved. It was simply straightforward, to the point, honesty. And that is what made me go with Simple Quarters.
Call Simple Quarters 317-900-HOME.
You know exactly why you need to remodel that kitchen of yours. The space, it's outdated. You can't move around like you used to. It doesn't work like it needs to. You want to entertain and you want to improve your quality of life. This can happen, just not with the kitchen you have. You need to call Booher Remodeling, B-O-O-H-E-R, BooherRemodeling.com. They can take that old kitchen that's deteriorating and broken down and turn it into something that works for you and your family. Their 5-step design process from start to finish, the consultation, the preliminary design, the design development, getting all the documents together, and then getting it done. The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. Booher Remodeling will guide you through the entire process, starting with the free initial consultation, and they stand behind their work with a 2-year workmanship guarantee. Create that new kitchen. Design experts can use an existing layout or begin completely from scratch. Talk to Booher Remodeling today. B-O-O-H-E-R. BooherRemodeling.com. That's BooherRemodeling.com.
Hi, it's T. Brian Hayes here from the Retirement Money Matter Show. It is time for our question and answer show for October, and we have many great questions to answer this month, including a question about saving in a traditional IRA versus a Roth IRA, one on how to redo a Social Security election, and another on a common misconception about Roth IRA conversions. Find out the answer to these questions and many more on the Retirement Money Matter Show, which airs this Saturday morning at 6 a.m. right here on WIBC.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-917-8730. 800-917-8730. 800-917-8730. That's 800-917-8730.
Head online to the contest page at WIBC.com and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra Thursday, December 4th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
My name is Craig Collins filling in. This is Kendall Casey. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Thrilled to be with you. A whole bunch of stuff to talk about. I am on a telephone dealing with some technical issues, but we hope to have a better fix for that in just a few minutes for you. 1 in 4 couples are polar opposites, according to a brand new survey that was out. This is fine. Oh, my power just went back on. So we will fix all this very soon. That is very exciting. But anyway, 1 in 4 couples is polar opposites. But you want 54% of the stuff that you and the missus talk about to be stuff you have in common, according to the experts on relationships, whoever those people are, and whatever it is they say. I don't know if that's true, in all honesty. My wife is from Mexico. Her and I disagree on a decent amount of silly things. We agree on important stuff. So I think that's a better way to say it. My opinion would be it doesn't matter if it's 54% of the stuff that you have in common. It only matters if the important things are things that you can see each other's position on or you wind up agreeing on. And even some of those, I think you can have some nuanced approach to it. But I love the fact that this is out there, not to try to turn this into a political take on a non-political story, but I think that people just demand unity in a weird way now. Like a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to disagree with anybody. I don't want to have friends I disagree with, family members I disagree with. I'm skipping Thanksgiving. It feels like one of those things. And so maybe for that reason, it would actually be quite good for people, whether it's a relationship or anyone else in your life, to have people you disagree with. But I do like that only 25% of couples are polar opposites at all, and that beyond that, as I said, 54% things in common is what they say you need to have in order to be happy in life. World Egg Day is today. I usually don't talk about these dumb stories. They make me laugh a lot in how many ridiculous holidays we now have, and I don't know who's coming up with them. It seems like I could go on social media and/or just this radio station and start claiming that today is a holiday for something random and that everyone might eventually celebrate it. You know, Happy Pepperoni Pizza Day feels like I'm sure it's a thing that exists, but I think I could just invent it and people would go with it. But the reason I mention this is apparently the discussion about Egg Day in general has caused a whole lot of people to debate a bunch of different food topics online, and that I like. This I'm a fan of. Ketchup on your eggs is something that apparently people debate. A third of people are okay with it. 2/3 of people hate the idea of it. Kevin, are you a ketchup on eggs guy or no?
No, I only do ketchup on burgers. That's my rule.
Okay. Ketchup on burgers, nothing else, no hot dog?
No, just a mustard guy. I like the Chicago-style dog.
Yeah. Did you grow up in Chicago or anything like that?
No, just would go up there and visit.
Okay. Fair enough. Yes, ketchup on a hot dog does ruin a hot dog. I agree with you there. But that's the debate. Ketchup on your eggs. 32% said they like or love it. Everybody else said no. Is chili a soup, or is it a stew, or is it neither? Is another debate that people have in response to National Egg Day, which is hilarious to me that you'd go that road. But do you have an answer for that one, Kevin? Is chili a soup, a stew, or is it neither?
It is neither. Oh, also, we got to go to break.
What is it?
We got to go to break.
All right, we got to go to break. That's fine. We'll figure out what chili is some other time. We're taking a break. More coming up in a bit. Greg Collins filling in on Kendall and Casey.
You know exactly why you need to remodel that kitchen of yours. The space, it's outdated. You can't move around like you used to. It doesn't work like it needs to. You want to entertain and you want to improve your quality of life. This can happen, just not with the kitchen you have. You need to call Booher Remodeling, Booher, BooherRemodeling.com. They can take that old kitchen that's deteriorating and broken down and turn it into something that works for you and your family. Their 5-step design process from start to finish, the consultation, the preliminary design, the design development, getting all the documents together, and then getting it done. The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. Booher Remodeling will guide you through the entire process, starting with a free initial consultation, and they stand behind their work with a 2-year workmanship guarantee. Create that new kitchen. Design experts can use an existing layout or begin completely from scratch. Talk to Booher Remodeling today. Booher, BooherRemodeling.com. That's BooherRemodeling.com.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recyclers Studios, what's going on at the Indianapolis International Airport today and what your governor is saying about the execution carried out in Michigan City. After Fox News, you're listening to 93 WIBC HD1 Indianapolis on a Friday morning. It's 10 o'clock.
President Trump is about to go see a doctor.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. He'll soon head to Walter Reed Medical Center.
When he goes for what he is describing as a semi-annual physical, the president says there's nothing to worry about health-wise.
And Fox's Peter Ducey reports from the White House the president will also meet with some U.S. troops at Walter Reed, while others will be deployed to Israel.
We are told 200 U.S. personnel already assigned to CENTCOM have new orders to monitor Gaza to make sure the peace holds. They will work with international partners. These U.S. service members will not deploy as boots on the ground for fighting in Israel or Gaza.
This as the ceasefire takes hold.
The Israeli military says the truce with Hamas came into effect at noon local time. Troops now withdrawing to pre-agreed lines, which will leave Israel controlling for now just over half of the Gaza Strip. Once the troop redeployment is complete, Hamas will have 72 hours to release the 20 remaining living hostages and send home the bodies of 28 others. Aid is now scheduled to pour into Gaza. Palestinians are beginning to return to neighborhoods now reduced to rubble.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Because the president brokered that deal, Trump supporters thought he deserved the Nobel Peace Prize, but he didn't get it this morning, prompting the White House communications director to post on X the Nobel Committee plays politics over peace. The committee instead decided
to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 to Maria Corina Machado.
Machado is a Venezuelan opposition activist living and hiding there because of death threats. This morning, she thanked President Trump and other Democratic nations for supporting her, standing up to leader Nicolas Maduro, who is wanted in the U.S. for illegal drug trafficking. The government remains shut down a 10th day.
Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are playing politics with the lives of real American people.
But they blame Republicans and House Speaker Mike Johnson as Democrats demand health care provisions be added to a funding bill the Senate won't consider again until next Tuesday. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What's happening at the Indianapolis airport? Clear radar, 49 degrees in downtown Indianapolis, going up to 70 today. I'm Ryan Hedrick, and here's what's trending at 10:02. The airspace around Indianapolis is temporarily shut down as Vice President J.D. Vance is preparing to land. At this time, no flights are departing or arriving. This is in anticipation of the vice president's arrival at the State House. The state executed death row inmate Roy Lee Ward this morning.
The Department of Correction put Ward to death by lethal injection this morning at the state prison in Michigan City. Governor Mike Braun had refused to grant clemency, and Ward dropped the remaining federal appeals of his death sentence earlier this week. He was on death row for the rape and murder of 15-year-old Stacey Payne in Spencer County that happened back in 2001.
And that's Wish TV reporting. Governor Braun said that Lee Ward, his case had been heard and reviewed numerous times by both state and federal courts, including the Indiana Supreme Court, since his conviction about 23 years ago. Indy FOP President Rick Snyder is criticizing a judge's light sentence in a crash that killed 3 people. The driver led police on a chase. He was only sentenced to 2 years, well below the Marion County prosecutor's request. Officers say the case exposes issues in the Marion County criminal justice system, and they're calling on the Indiana legislature to strengthen sentencing. Colts fans might need a few extra minutes getting to Lucas Oil Stadium on Sunday. Matt Baer with more.
Colts fans, watch your traffic this Sunday, especially if you use Washington Street on the east side. Entrance and exit ramps at the I-465 Washington Street US 40 interchange will be closed until after kickoff, meaning these ramps won't be available when you're going to the game. They should be reopened for your trip home. On the north side, 2 lanes are closed in each direction on 465 from Michigan Road to Ditch Road until early Monday morning. And don't forget the I-65 and Madison Avenue are under construction on the south side. Be like the Colts offensive line and allow extra time. Matt Baer, WIBC Traffic.
The Indiana Pacers said yesterday that guard TJ McConnell will be out for a while.
I think it's safe to say that he'll be out at least a month. Not as bad as it could have been.
Head coach Rick Carlisle says the team has signed guard Cam Payne, who spent last year with the Knicks. And if you like beer and pumpkins, then you might like this event.
Union Jack Pub Broad Ripple presents Pumpkin, Cider, and Fall Beer Fest on Saturday in Opti Park.
We have 98
fall beers lined up for this. Pumpkin takes the center stage, then with ciders and lots of fall flavors like s'mores and different apples and things like that. And some really just fun activities in addition to the beer that people can taste.
Owner Chelsea Wetzel says that tickets will be available at the gate from 3 to 6 p.m. VIP tickets at unionjackpub.com. Terry Stacy, WIBC Mobile News.
And I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com. It's 10:05. Kendall and Casey coming back in a minute.
Judy loves her fall in Indy, but she doesn't like the paint, so she called Rhino Shield.
The house that Rhino Shield did for my husband and I, after having the house painted with kind of usual house paint, I was seeing cracks appearing about every 3 years and just wasn't very satisfied with that.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating specifically formulated for our unique climate.
I can't speak highly enough about the Rhino Shield crew. They also were great at working with me to get the exact right color because I was very particular.
Indy, you too can have the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
I would not hesitate to call Rhino Shield, and I am just thrilled to recommend Rhino Shield to my friends and neighbors and family.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield. This hour powered by Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard Air dealer.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. A bunch of stuff out there to talk about. The vice president is coming to Indianapolis. He's doing that because he'd like to see Indiana redistrict a little bit better. Even though Indiana already has a whole bunch of Republican seats. Getting a few more doesn't hurt anybody. If they can make that a thing, they can get that done. That is a big story. I will tell you that. It's not the biggest story out there, even if it feels like the conversation here at home is such a big deal, and especially when the vice president touches down in Indy. But I'll tell you that the biggest story is still Israel and the, brokered peace or the ceasefire that the Trump administration has found between Israel and Hamas, the terrorist group that runs Gaza, and also the releasing of hostages. Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, was sitting down next to Jared Kushner and others and had a conversation with the American people through media. I have that audio. Let's play a little bit of that, why don't we, and see exactly how you feel about some of the way to go United States moments that happen here. Oh, wait, hold on. You actually can't hear that yet. Let me go ahead and fix that so you can hear it, and that'll be better. And let's hit play again.
2 years to achieve our war aims. And a central one of these war aims is to return the hostages, all of the hostages, the living and the dead. And we're about to achieve that goal. We couldn't have achieved it without the extraordinary help of President Trump and his team, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. They worked tirelessly with Ron and his team, our team. That and the courage of our soldiers who entered Gaza and the combined military and diplomatic pressure that isolated Hamas, I think, has brought us to this point. I want to personally thank both of you, Steve, Jared. It's been long hours.
And yet a lot of media is still going to hate these people. A lot of media is still going to say that Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, anyone that works with Trump is a horrible, terrible person. How dare they awful, terrible things again and again. But Benjamin Netanyahu, not exactly popular in Israel right now, says that this could not have happened without the United States of America. The first thing that will occur, and this is odd, but it will happen and it always happens, is a whole lot of media will claim that the U.S. had nothing to do with this. That even though that's what Israel is saying, and that's what a lot of other people are saying, there's going to be a tremendous amount of left-leaning outlets out there that try to convince you at all costs that there's no way that the United States really made any impact whatsoever. And had Biden been in charge, the same thing would have happened. That's step one in trying to diminish the success of this. And this totally also ignores the fact that Trump has found a bunch of other peace deals in a bunch of other places. And by the way, and this is just odd for me to say it, you would think that the most like woke left-leaning thing you could be as far as like a politician is, that would be universally thought of as good. Like both sides of the aisle would acknowledge, all right, fine, that's good, is a peacemaker. Someone who finds a way to get us out of conflict or get other countries out of conflict with each other, or other powers out of conflict with each other, whatever it might be. That feels like the ultimate woke thing to do. I'm not trying to say it's bad. I'm very happy about it, too. That's why I'm calling it bipartisan. But you would think that, like, of anything that media would have to begrudgingly praise Trump for, this would be the thing where they're like, all right, fine, he did this and this is good. But they won't. They'll still fight every tooth, nail, and way that they possibly can to push and tell you how horrible it is. And actually, you know, it's also funny. About a year ago, we had Oprah pop up on stages and tell you how horrible the world was going to get if Trump was in power. And so this has been making the rounds on social media, I think, over the last day or so. Oprah declaring that women would lose the right to vote if Trump were in office. This is the reason that crazy people do crazy stuff. This is the reason that lunatic Antifa people will show up outside the state house here in Indianapolis and try to protest J.D. Vance while that administration is making peace deals throughout the world that benefit everybody. Even, again, the woke people who you'd think would be happy about this, who would refuse to acknowledge it. But just as a reminder, because this is going viral and all over the place, let's play the Oprah audio real quick. If it actually plays. Let's see if we actually get this one to go. There we go.
Sit this one out. We don't get to sit this one out.
You sat it out.
If we don't show up tomorrow.
By the way, you know what's really funny about that is a whole lot of Democrats sat it out. Trump won the popular vote. Trump won a whole bunch of votes. I'm not saying that's the reason why. I think a whole bunch of people voted for Trump that Democrats didn't think would vote for him. But I love that she's like, we can't sit it out. We lost real bad.
It is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
Insane. That is insane. And Oprah said that a year ago, and it didn't happen. But again, this is how media tries as hard as it can to diminish someone who now is brokering peace deal after peace deal all over the place. And part of the uniqueness of Trump, I will say this, when you talk about him being like a peace negotiator, and we're going to move on to, you know, redistricting and stuff in a second. But part of the uniqueness of Trump is his unpredictability. If you were sitting across the table from him and he were asking for peace between you and someone else and saying that his country may or may not have to be involved in some fashion, if that peace doesn't happen, you would believe him. If Biden were to make an idle threat, you would disagree with it or, you know, not even acknowledge it because you're not even sure that Biden was aware he was doing it. Trump is a very different person in that world. And also in the world of how, you know, quickly things can turn on you if Trump points, you know, his ire in your direction. If he says that, hey, this or that is a problem, is a mistake, is something that you're doing in his unique Trump way, it gets you more attention than you want, no matter who you are. And so I think that that's interesting, too. All right, let's talk a little bit about redistricting and also the government shutdown. J.D. Vance will be here in Indianapolis. He would very much like Indianapolis politicians who are standing not necessarily on the same in the same place as this administration on some redistricting because of the cost of it. Ryan Hendrick did a great job of reporting on that and talking about that with us just a little bit ago. And I'm sure you'll hear more of it within the newscast. But Vance is going to try to encourage those individuals to go ahead and change their opinion on that. Because the White House has, quote, noticed that Indiana is hesitant to do anything here. I like fiscal hawks. I think a lot of people who listen to this show are fiscally very much focused on making sure we don't waste money. That's one of the reasons I'm not upset the government shut down. I know that it needs to get kicked back on. I know that there's bad things that happen, but when the Republicans threaten to do this, my stance is usually go ahead. I don't care. It won't affect me that much. And I don't want to change that position when the Democrats are the ones forcing the shutdown. So it is what it is. And hopefully if we fire a whole bunch of bureaucrats as a byproduct of government shutdown, we wind up being a much more efficient government, at least spending-wise. This seems like a nice excuse to can some people and not get them jobs back. But I digress. J.D. Vance will be here to try to convince people to redistrict so that stuff like this doesn't happen. Essentially, that power is consolidated even more. And Democrats do this all the time. Illinois and California and New York are some of the greatest examples of it. Just ridiculously drawn maps. Now, granted, I will say one other thing, and I'll just say this quickly because I know we got a break to take in a second. But I do think it's kind of insane that when you look at the way that America as a country votes, and you look at all the red, like the sea of red throughout the entirety of our country, that the political party that needs to throw a giant group of people who vote in a rural area into a weird district that also includes a sliver of a big city so that all those people can influence that one district. And you do that like 7 or 8 times. So all of a sudden, Chicago has an outstretched influence on the entirety of the state of Illinois, or whatever the example might be, New York with New York State. What I think is amazing about that is that's the only way Democrats survive. The extreme redistricting is a way in which to force the exact opposite of what I think the founding fathers wanted, which is to have these cities not have an outstretched influence on the political decisions of the rest of the country, or the political decisions of their state at the very least. And so it's been a thing they've been doing forever. Republicans have, of course, done it too, but maybe not as extreme as Democrats, because without this level of extreme gerrymandering, they would lose a lot more of these elections and a lot more power. And so Republicans fighting back is good. And places like Indiana are unique in their ability to quickly, respond to whatever they try to do in California, Chicago, or Illinois, anywhere else. Because Indiana does have a whole lot of Republican voters everywhere throughout that state. So you could easily turn 7 seats into 9 seats. That's at least my opinion of it. And so I think that's the reason to focus on places like Indianapolis and focus on places like Indiana as a state, because you should do as extreme gerrymandering as they do in the cities and the states that neighbor you, because of how truly red the actual state of Indiana is. It's actually a representation of what the bulk majority of people in the state believe, to make it more red. That is not necessarily true in these Democratic states that do things crazy in order to influence positions that way. All right, let's take a break. We got a lot coming up. Craig Collins filling in on the Kendall and Casey Show.
Tony Katz.
There's a real truth here that is very uncomfortable for a lot of people. Gen Z is not hooking up, and you're missing out on experiences, you're missing out on connections. I don't know why it isn't important, but being afraid of the experience is a real problem for the soul. Well, how do you find people? How do you create? To quote Avenue Q, there is life outside your apartment.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local, well-trained expert you can trust, like Family Heating and Air Conditioning? We'll find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Transform your home with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. You can say goodbye to cracked, stained, and dirty old floors and hello to durable, stunning surfaces that last. Their cutting-edge technology ensures a beautiful finish every time, and you get to pick out the color. Upgrade your home today by calling Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They're for garage floors, driveways, pool decks, and patios, and they come with a lifetime warranty and one-day professional installation. The phone number, 877-417-0635. You can find them online, too. GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com.
Hi, it's T. Brian Hayes here from the Retirement Money Matter Show. It is time for our question and answer show for October, and we have many great questions to answer this month, including a question about saving in a traditional IRA versus Roth IRA, one on how to redo a Social Security election, and another on a common misconception about Roth IRA conversions. Find out the answer to these questions and many more on the Retirement Money Matter Show, which airs this Saturday morning at 6 a.m. right here on WIBC.
It's time. You've been putting off that kitchen or bath remodel long enough. What are you waiting for? Get started today with Boer Remodeling. Boer Remodeling customer Kathy had a bath remodel with Boer. Kathy, talk a little bit about your experience.
Our experience with Boer has been terrific. The process was so easy and seamless. When we decided to do a larger remodel of our first floor, Boer was the first company we thought of hiring.
And were you happy with the results?
The results are amazing, and we are so happy with our home and the work that Boer did.
Peter is another recent Boer Remodeling customer with a new kitchen. Peter, what was the best part about working with Boer?
We especially liked the active participation that we were able to have in selection of stone for the countertops. Really came out beautiful. The cabinets also came out very, very well.
The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. They'll guide you through the entire process. Start with a free consultation. Talk to Boer Remodeling today. That's BOOHER, BoerRemodeling.com.
It's JMV. The fall season continues at Miss M's Home and Garden. Visit Johnson County's premier garden center for a large selection of locally grown mums, pumpkins, gourds, and fall decor. Now is a great time to shop and save. Happening now at Miss M's. Save 50% on pottery and herbaceous perennials, along with 40% savings on in-stock patio furniture. Don't forget, they also have a selection of trees and shrubs up to 50% off. Miss M's Home and Garden, located on State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville.
Football is back, and so are great hairlines. We Grow Hair Indy has helped former local professional football players get back in the game with full natural hair. You don't have to play pro ball to get pro-level results. Hey, it's Rob, and I knew I picked the right team when I needed a Hail Mary for my hair. I called We Grow Hair Indy. Whether you're tailgating, coaching, or watching from the couch, do it with confidence. Trade the sidelines for a hairline. Get back in the game at We Grow Hair Indy. Schedule your free evaluation today at WeGrowHairIndy.com. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com or call 317-522-2995. That's 317-522-2995. Enjoy being out and about this fall. Enjoy watching the games in person with your friends with confidence you haven't had in years. And you can do it with a trip to We Grow Hair Indy. 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Tell them Rob sent you.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Up to 50% off and 2.99% financing, plus receive an additional $550 off your project.
Because at B Windows,
we mean business. We mean business.
93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins filling in. This is the Kendall Casey show. Casey Daniel will also be filling in for Hammer and Nigel later on today. And she has created this question. It's not my fault. It's the, I think, ads that are running to promote her being on later this afternoon. Is she wearing pants? Is a real question that you can ask yourself up until that show actually starts this afternoon. Because I think Casey has said she's so excited there may not be any pants. So that's a wonderful thing to wonder about for the next several hours. We could even have like a countdown clock somewhere. Is Casey wearing pants? Can be counted down right until we find out when she jumps onto that show. Some other things out there, silly things that I love. So a marketing organization partnered with, I think, some sort of stupid company in New York City to come up with a ridiculous thing. They created a promo for this. They were claiming that they were going to teach carrier pigeons how to deliver pot throughout New York City. This was a stunt. It was fake. It wasn't real. But a whole lot of media outlets, including Fox 5 in New York, believed it and ran stories and talked about it. I'll play the promo itself of the company claiming that it was going to start using carrier pigeons to deliver pot, which is a ridiculous premise and something that a whole lot of people seemed amused by. And I do love the fact that it tricked media outlets, even though that might have been the intention from jump. And it's annoying sometimes to see that happen. I personally always find it humorous when places like The Onion or the Babylon Bee specifically are capable of convincing someone, even somewhere else in the world, it doesn't have to be here in the United States, that something they made up is true. But here's the promo that tricked some media outlets into thinking that carrier pigeons were actually going to start being used to deliver pot in New York City.
My name is Jeff. I run The Coop. Today is day 15 of our pigeon delivery training program. We are going to be using my carrier pigeons to deliver to our customers in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens. We give them a specific address, and they come back here.
By the way, the fact that they bleeped the word pot is kind of amazing to me because you have no idea, if I didn't set this up, what exactly they were delivering. Continue.
Coop, they're not flying rats, okay? They have a homing device in their head. We do have to instruct the customers to keep their windows open. This is the beauty of the pigeon.
Yeah, the carrier pigeon that's going to deliver the pot throughout the city of New York. Again, this was fake. Fox 5 in New York and several other places reported on it like it was real and then had to correct themselves later when they realized that it was all just a stunt and stupid. And the kind of thing that a lot of organizations come up with in order to get people to pay attention to their dumb things. But I found this incredibly amusing for some reason. And I wonder if you do too, even if you're not a fan of marijuana itself. And I'm not actually a fan of marijuana itself for some reason. I want to play it one more time. I love the fact that they bleep the word pot because it does make your brain for a second wonder, is it something even crazier than what they're actually talking about?
My name is Jeff. I run The Coop. Today is day 15 of our pigeon delivery training program. We are going to be using my carrier pigeons to deliver to our customers.
Again, I mean, like your imagination runs wild when they bleep anything, especially that moment right there. All right, one last thing, too, before we take a break. I find this pretty funny. People are sharing crazy, strange rules their parents had growing up. I was talking about this a little earlier on. There are a couple more that I didn't get to that I'd like to throw out there. The curtains had to be open first thing in the morning so that neighbors wouldn't think we slept in was a rule that was on this list. Also, we weren't allowed to walk from the bathroom to our bedroom after a shower in just a towel, even if no one else was in there besides family. You had to actually get dressed inside the bathroom. And then finally, we had to leave the room to fart. That's my favorite one. And farting was thought of as a curse word for this family growing up. I kind of like that rule. To be honest, my family didn't have that rule growing up, but a rule where, and actually I have a quick story about a fart because I'm a juvenile and I can't help it. But my family didn't have a rule like that. And so I feel like that's just kind of nice. It's considerate for your brothers, sisters, mom, dad, whoever, if you leave the room that everybody's in, if they're all together, and go ahead and fart somewhere else. But this happened yesterday. I was at a Starbucks with the missus, and I was drinking coffee, and darn it, coffee does some things to the body. And I farted. That's the easiest way to say it. I let one go. And here's the funny part about it. We were about to leave the Starbucks. I just left. So I did the thing, and I realized there were people that were near us that were going to get hit by the situation I had created. And so I just walked out of the Starbucks. And then the missus came flying out after me, realizing what had happened. And she was so mad about it. And I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't make it seem like she's the one who farted on other people in public on purpose. I just left. I just made an executive decision in the moment when one squeaked past the goalie to go ahead and not be around anymore. And then that was the whole car ride home. How dare you? In a funny way. I think she was a little amused, mostly upset. But how dare you make it seem as though I farted on people in public? And again, she was an innocent victim in all of that. I didn't intentionally do it, but I did immediately leave the establishment I was in after passing gas. It was just a human nature thing. A lot of it was. It just took over, and I decided to go. And so I ask you, the people of 93 WIBC in Indianapolis, did I do something horribly wrong? I did farting and leaving the place I was in some way, somehow, truly, do something terrible to the missus, getting her blamed for the decisions that I made. All right, quick break. A lot coming up. Craig Collins filling in on the Kendall and Casey Show. Would love your answers to that.
Chris was able to save a life. When Chris died, it was devastating and it was very sudden. We learned that Chris was already an organ donor. There is a lady that is alive with Chris's liver. That is just totally amazing to me.
Be a hero. Save a life. Say yes to organ donation.
It made me so happy because Chris was our hero. Because of him, we are all now organ donors.
Learn more at donatelifeindiana.org.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Visiting Indianapolis. You've got sunny skies, and it's 53 degrees in downtown Indy. I'm Jeanette Cruz. Here's what's trending at 10:30. Vice President J.D. Vance is returning to the Hoosier State today to meet with Indiana's Senate Republican caucus as redistricting deliberations continue. Palestinians are going home as a ceasefire goes into effect in Gaza this weekend. Fox's Steve Harrigan describes a scene from Tel Aviv.
Obviously, the ceasefire is holding. The ceasefire is working, and these people feel free to make their way north. They are walking along a main seaside route along the Mediterranean, heading north towards Gaza City. Many of them on foot for a number of different reasons, either too poor to own a car, the fact that their cars could have been destroyed in the war.
The Gaza Health Ministry says that over 67,000 Palestinians have been killed in the war. I'm Jeanette Cruz on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Why do so many foundation, basement, and crawl space companies ask for half your money up front? Could it be because that's easier to get than earning all your trust? At the Michaelis Corporation, they believe trust is earned, not demanded. That's why they do things differently. They start with a free inspection, no strings attached, to give you an honest assessment of what your home needs. No pressure, no surprises. When it's time for the work, they don't ask for a deposit or any upfront payment. Not a single dollar until the job is complete and you're 100% satisfied. That's how they've been earning trust for over 39 years. Whether it's sagging floors, moisture control, concrete repair, or a full crawl space encapsulation, you can count on Michaelis for repairs that last. Don't trust just anyone with your home. Choose the company that puts your trust first. Text or call 844-FIXED-INDY today. That's 844-FIXED-INDY. The Michaelis Corporation, building trust beneath your feet.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Attention, Indiana homeowners. Are you tired of avoiding your wet basement? Hi, I'm Mike Smith with Swain Co. Crawl Space and Basement Repair, your real, local, Indiana family-owned experts. Imagine all the possibilities of a guaranteed dry basement, a cozy new family room, a home gym, or even a new office. And with no interest, no payment financing, you don't have to break the bank to do it. Make the most of your basement today. Call Swainco 317-407-1868 or swaincollc.com.
My brother never checks on dad, or my sister won't make time to take mom to the doctor. Are these things you've heard yourself say? This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. I have a caregiving tip for you. Stay tuned.
Cardon & Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Visit cardon.us to find a community near you.
Expressing anger or resentment toward unsupportive siblings can cause unmendable rifts in relationships. Don't try to control everyone else. You can only control yourself. The success of your caregiving journey does not rest on others. So enjoy the time with your loved one. This is your special time with them. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access the library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
At Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling, our mission is to provide honest assessments and recommendations. We promise you'll never be sold something you don't need.
PricePointComfort.com. They are your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air dealer.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. A whole bunch of stuff out there to talk about. I love a message I got from a listener on social media at Radio Craig C. If you want to follow me, my following nowhere near as fancy as the people I fill in for here, like Tony or Kendall and Casey. And honestly, I need to do more with the social media. But Drew sent me a message. I was talking about this is very quick, and I'm resetting up the story. A fart that happened that I was the one who perpetrated yesterday in a Starbucks. I then walked out of the establishment. My wife was left behind and eventually blamed, I think, by people around her for the fart. I didn't do it on purpose, but it did happen, and the missus was quite upset about it. Drew gave me a better idea. He said the next time you feel the need to, have nature call, that type of nature call, I should say, go to the cheese aisle of the bougie grocery store and just fart there. That's hilarious. And then stand as you watch people sniff the bougie cheeses and see what they think of them. And they're like, man, this has got a pungent odor. It must be delicious. That's a great idea, Drew. I love that very much. Thank you for the message. At Radio Craig C, again, if you want to interact with me on X, on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever. I have a few different social media pages that I do much less with than anyone who's fancier than I am. And actually, my cousin, who's now a national radio host, keeps telling me I need to try harder on Twitter, on X. So if Indianapolis can help me out with that, that'd be great. You guys just click a few more follows there. I would love to tell him that I'm sort of listening to what he's saying. All right. A team of 200 U.S. troops will oversee the Gaza truce. This is according to U.S. officials. This is a big deal. I keep talking about this every, half hour all day on this show because a peace deal in the Middle East is a tremendously big win for President Trump and the world, to be honest with you. It's not so much a political this side or that side thing, but Biden would have desperately wanted this and couldn't have gotten it done, mostly because I don't think he was aware of even where he was anymore as a person, and the people running the AutoPen forum unaware of what was going on. But nonetheless, the fact that the U.S. will even have a hand in how exactly this truce deal goes about being completed and the returning of hostages. I think there's believed to be something like 20 still living hostages that Hamas has, mostly young Israeli military men who are in their 20s. And then also, I think about 25 sadly deceased people, some of which I think they'll need to struggle to find the remains. Which is horrible and insane as much as anything else is. But nonetheless, like a big deal. And Israel has touted the involvement of the United States, said how this couldn't have been done without them, et cetera, et cetera. Mainstream media will ignore and or try to diminish the success of this, but it's a big deal. Also today, just other things very quickly before we'll move on to something else that I want to talk about. You will have the vice president here in Indianapolis trying to convince the holdout politicians of the Senate in Indiana, to go ahead and redistrict. This would be to fight redistricting happening in California and Illinois. This is to benefit the Republican Party, of course, because for a long time, I think politicians on the Republican side of the aisle have been behind Democrats, as in we're, running second in a race of two in how extremely we redistrict the places that would be very easy wins for us. Texas, the fact that you can create 5, 6, 7 seats there is sort of amazing because I don't think the politicians in places like California can really reliably do that. They were talking about creating 4 or 5 more seats and how they gerrymander that state. But the reality is that some of those races still sound like they'd be contested because there's not a whole lot left to do in the world of redistricting there to make things even more unfair in favor of Democrats in some of those states. A lot of Republican places can do a whole lot, mostly because you're working with almost the entirety of a state in how you draw up the districts that could become red. It's really only a few cities that you have to just circle and let them vote as one whole collective instead of portioning off pieces into different districts throughout, say the suburbs and whatnot to create more Democratic seats. All right, another thing out there, and this I just found interesting. Letitia James, Tish James, I think is what she goes by, a New York Attorney General who defeated Trump in court, has been indicted by the Justice Department. This is hilarious. By the way, the headline I just read to you is CNN's version of talking about her, because another way to say what happened with Tish James in New York is that she found a unique place, Manhattan, to go after Trump for a ridiculous thing and then find him, quote unquote, guilty, and still make that something that a bunch of Democrats say when they call him a felon, when they say that he's, been found guilty of a charge I don't even think they understand, which would be a whole bunch of misclassifying certain spending of the Trump company, that wound up going to payments to Stormy Daniels. I can't believe we talked about that in 2024 at all, and that it became the thing it was. But again, that's also like the kind of thing that Democrats celebrate. They're like, yeah, we got him on some weird version of a technicality that people in New York, experts said, should never be considered a felony. It's a misdemeanor, and they inflated it to a felony in a ridiculous way. But anyway, all that happened, and these people are individuals who went after, whether it was New York City's Alvin Bragg or Tish James or anyone else. But she got indicted yesterday. President Trump's Justice Department continues to pursue charges against his political opponents, according to CNN. Again, and I love that, mostly because Trump had everything you could possibly throw at him while he was running for the office of president. And now that some of this stuff is coming back at the Democrats, they're acting like they're suddenly upset with this. They loved it when it was happening to someone who was obviously running in the pole position to be the next president of the United States, which is crazy, by the way, because mainstream media is trying to get you as upset or even more upset than they wanted you to be about Trump with people like James Comey and Tish James. And you're thinking to yourself, you're like, how does any of this matter anywhere near as much as going after someone who's seeming to be in control of a presidential election and likely to be returning to the White House? Why would I ever care? But the grand jury returned 2 felony charges, bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution. James's first court appearance is scheduled for October 24th. And I think that's hilarious. I do think that if they get her on, say, false statements to financial institution stuff, it's just poetic justice. It's the kind of stuff that they did when they went after Trump in the first place to say that, he negotiated with banks in bad faith, claimed that his company and he was worth more money than they were to get better loans, all the different things they went after in courtrooms. Then a whole bunch of other people that, are in the world of business, I would say would be a terrible decision for New York to do to more people in the private sector because of how many people also do that stuff. And essentially to have no victim. If all the banks got paid back, whatever the money was they asked for when the loans are concerned, like none of that seems important. But Tish James being indicted and it being covered by places like CNN as a horrible political witch hunt is just full on hilarious to me. I think that that's the best. I'll end this topic on that idea. The best thing you can do sometimes, and this is the kind of thing that, say, Jon Stewart has become very famous for doing for Democrats, but just point out the hypocrisy. The easiest way to demonstrate how inauthentic, how full of crap people are, is to point to the moment when they immediately turn from what they've said before to do and say the exact opposite. And it feels like a byproduct of what the DOJ is doing right now is exposing that. It's exposing the hypocrisy of all these people who claim that what they were doing to Trump was 100%, in accordance with the law and no one was above the law and all of that crap. And now the minute the same thing or something similar with certain shades of gray happens to them, all of a sudden it's the worst thing they've ever seen in their whole lives. And it's easy to point out hypocrisy when it comes to politicians, actually. And here I'll get to that. So that's the last thing I want to talk about before we take a break. Of course, the government being shut down is something that a whole lot of people are talking about. Whether or not it actually impacts your life or it matters very much to you is, I think, a question that you can actually answer. And if you're doing it honestly, I'm guessing unless you work for the government, it's not impacting you that much. But here's the thing. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. When Republicans threaten to shut down the government because they're trying to prevent Democrats from, wielding power, and Democrats are in power, I say this same exact thing, that I'm not terribly worried about the government shutting down. And I'd kind of like to see a lot of bureaucrats lose their jobs as a byproduct of any of this happening. But so when it's the Democrats' fault, I'm not going to tell you how much more important it is to open up the government ASAP because I don't want to be a hypocrite. It's just, and honestly, I truthfully think the thing I said from jump, that the government shutting down for a couple weeks, a month, whatever it might be, might not be something that you notice or I notice as much as media will tell you we're going to notice it. But here's one part that really amused me. So the EPA is likely to furlough a whole lot of people. Like 80 to 90% of the EPA is likely to be furloughed in the near future if we don't get the government restarted. And what I think you do and I think the Trump administration is contemplating this in a lot of these places, is immediately see how efficient things are running with a skeleton crew in all these places in government, not just the EPA, anywhere. And then when you start bringing people back, you bring less people back. Way more people are fired. That would be great for me. It'd be great for you. We'd save a whole bunch of money, and the government would finally have a lot less bureaucratic morons in it that are doing and saying things that I think actually actively hurt the American people because of how one-sided they are politically. Although I guess it sort of makes sense if somebody cutting your check is on a certain side of the aisle, you want to support them as much as possible. But I just thought that was funny, that 80-something% of the EPA is likely to be furloughed. This is being used as a, fear-monger story for some in media to tell you how this is one of many ways in which the government shutdown is bad. Small business loans not being issued to a bunch of people throughout the country is another way that they're saying the economy is going to be harmed, et cetera, et cetera. Some of that might even be true. But again, at the end of it, what I've found whenever the government does shut down is you get things restarted, you get back pay and all that stuff figured out, and then we keep living without any of the horrific things that they tell us are going to happen. So is it really all that bad? That's a question I do ask. I'm not happy that Democrats are essentially holding out just because they don't like some of the things Republicans have done well in power, especially about the big, beautiful bill and the inability to say keep giving dollars to people who are here illegally to get free health care. That's one thing Democrats want. They claim they don't want it, but every part of the bill seems to say that they are going after that. But nonetheless, as I say all that, I just think it's kind of amazing, kind of interesting that the way in which we go about having this conversation is so much less authentic than it should be, because darn it, the people who are in charge right now are the people that most media hates. And so they have to say a certain thing a certain way, and then they'll say something very different in the future. All right, a quick break, a lot coming up. Craig Collins filling in on Kendall and Casey, 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, no Nobel for Donald Trump, but troops are going to Israel. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC. It's time. You've been putting off that kitchen or bath remodel long enough. What are you waiting for? Get started today with Boer Remodeling. Boer Remodeling customer Kathy had a bath remodel with Boer. Kathy, talk a little bit about your experience.
Our experience with Boer has been terrific. The process was so easy and seamless. When we decided to do a larger remodel of our first floor, Boer was the first company we thought of hiring.
And were you happy with the results?
The results are amazing, and we are so happy with our home and the work that Boer did.
Peter is another recent Boer Remodeling customer with a new kitchen. Peter, what was the best part about working with Boer?
We especially liked the active participation that we were able to have in selection of stone for the countertops. Really came out beautiful. The cabinets also came out very, very well.
The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. They'll guide you through the entire process. Start with a free consultation. Talk to Boer Remodeling today. That's BOOHER, BoerRemodeling.com.
Football is back, and so are great hairlines. We Grow Hair Indy has helped former local professional football players get back in the game with full natural hair. You don't have to play pro ball to get pro-level results. Hey, it's Rob, and I knew I picked the right team when I needed a Hail Mary for my hair. I called We Grow Hair Indy. Whether you're tailgating, coaching, or watching from the couch, do it with confidence. Trade the sidelines for a hairline. Get back in the game at We Grow Hair Indy. Schedule your free evaluation today at WeGrowHairIndy.com. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com or call 317-522-2995. That's 317-522-2995. Enjoy being out and about this fall. Enjoy watching the games in person with your friends with confidence you haven't had in years. And you can do it with a trip to We Grow Hair Indy. 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Tell them Rob sent you.
The fall season continues at Sundown Gardens. Visit the Garden Center for a large selection of locally grown mums, pumpkins, gourds, and fall decor. Now's a great time to shop and save. Happening now at Sundown Gardens, save 50% on all pottery and herbaceous perennials. The nursery is still full of a great fall selection of trees and shrubs. Save 50% on select nursery items. Sundown Gardens, located on the corner of 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield. SundownGardens.com.
Hi, it's T. Brian Hayes here from the Retirement Money Matters Show. It is time for our question and answer show for October, and we have many great questions to answer this month, including a question about saving in a traditional IRA versus Roth IRA, one on how to redo a Social Security election, and another on a common misconception about Roth IRA conversions. Find out the answer to these questions and many more on the Retirement Money Matters Show, which airs this Saturday morning at 6 a.m. right here on WIBC.
You ready to build your custom dream home? Check out Joyner Homes based out of Greenfield. See one of their model homes in person anytime. It is a great way for you to experience the customization and quality of a Joyner Homes custom built home. Plus, you can meet with a new home specialist to learn about their building process. Available lots if you don't already have one. Find out about floor plans and where they build. Model homes are open 7 days a week from noon to 5 and walk-ins are welcome. Find out more at joynerhomes.com.
Macy's Star Deals Week is back. It's one incredible week packed with epic savings on the best fall styles. That means luxurious 100% cashmere sweaters are now just $79.99. The latest beauty from Shiseido, Mac & More, $30 off every $150 you spend. Plus, exclusive online-only daily flash deals and so much more. It's the one week you really can't miss. Macy's Star Deals Week is going on now. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
More tariffs later, tornadoes possible.
WIBC.com gives you more than just headlines. It's context, updates, and insight. Whether you're at work, on the move, or catching up late, the latest is already there. Stay in the know while you're on the go at WIBC.com.
This is W93 WIBC, Kendall and Casey. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you for the day. Casey Daniel will be popping up on the Hammer and Nigel show later on this afternoon, filling in on that show. And she did say that she may not be wearing pants. So this is just me continuing to update you on the potential likelihood of a pantsless Casey Daniel doing some radio later on. You will find out if that is true or not in just a few hours. So the countdown is on for that. I love that promo. All right, a couple quick things in the world of movie news. First, Amazon's MGM has given an exact date for the Melania Trump documentary that'll be released in theaters. This will be in January. There are people who, of course, are up in arms at the idea that Melania will be a movie that will be exclusively in theaters on January 30th of 2026. Whether or not it gets a whole bunch of people to show up to it, we'll see. I might go. But anyway, this is a thing that's making people mad. It's the 20 days leading up to President Trump's 2025 inauguration. A really interesting time, honestly, for the First Lady, because her husband was almost shot and killed, literally miraculously survived an assassination attempt, and then was barreling toward becoming the next president of the country yet again, to be actually sworn in to be the president. So you wonder what emotions someone like her was going through, regardless of what you think of her. Someone married to a politician who has won an election and is going to become the next president, who survives an assassination attempt, is certainly a worthy topic of a documentary. So we'll see, again, how well it does. I'm sure it'll be a big media story. If it does well or if it does poorly, people will talk about it a lot. And then there's another one out there. I will preface this with I am Catholic, so I'm certainly not making fun of anything faith-related. It was just a weird headline to see. But Mel Gibson is putting out a sequel to Passion of the Christ. And again, that's the part that's weird to me. Like, if you've seen that movie, you don't feel like, part two is something that you need to see, although it will be focused on Jesus's resurrection. It's called the Resurrection of Christ, of course. But it's going to have a whole new cast. Apparently, they're recasting all of the different roles, which has some people asking certain questions about it. But just a weird headline. And I guess that'll start shooting in Rome in the near future. But that's something that I think Page 6 had put out that I saw. The sequel to Passion of the Christ has its cast pretty much set, and it will start to film soon. And again, not making fun of, just saying out loud, as a Catholic, it's weird that there's a Hollywood sequel to that first movie. Although it makes sense, and again, it's a good story that they're going to go ahead and explore. Worthy story, I will say that as a Catholic, to be put into a movie somewhere. But I don't know. It just feels odd to me because you don't think of everything getting the sequel treatment, including some, specific movies. All right, a couple other quick things out there that I just found interesting. We'll just rapid fire some of these. A California gas station had a dinosaur returned that apparently was stolen. Claire, the Sinclair is what they call it, the dinosaur, which is very odd. But a crime was caught on security camera with people stealing this dinosaur that's about, 5 feet high, a big thing, big enough thing anyway. So apparently someone brought it back, wrapped up, and then put a note on it that said, "Sorry for stealing your dinosaur," which I find hilarious. "Please do not press any charges" was also written on the note as the dinosaur was returned. And it does look like a hostage, by the way. It's just a very weird thing because it's all wrapped up and you have to unwrap it, and it's got like bandages and stuff on it. And so it looks very strange that this fake dinosaur is a thing that somebody stole, put in a pickup truck, and then decided to return. But I like the note being like, "Hey, this made news. We're dumb and idiots and did terrible things. Please don't press charges." I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I think that the gas station probably should still press charges. You do stupid things, you win stupid prizes. That feels like it's the case. But it was a 50-pound fiberglass dinosaur named Claire that was stolen and then was returned. And then people are saying, please, hey, let's go ahead and pretend this never happened. Because when you get caught is when you start to immediately actually have issues and problems. And then one last thing, and I do like this a lot too. There's a story about a whole bunch of cows being tipped in Montana. Maybe we'll get to it later. They were in a trailer. There was like 120 of them. And I just love the way news media talked about it in the area, and people helped to corral the cows. So that's coming up in a bit. Craig Collins filling in on the Kendall and Casey Show.
20 ribeyes for $35. That's 20 ribeyes for $35 at 2 locations in Indianapolis going on now. 20 ribeyes for only $35 in the Hardee's parking lot near Walmart at West 86th Street and Michigan Road. Just look for the big truck. Also in the Hardee's lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. Also on the big truck is cases of T-bones, fillets, New York strips, burgers, and a whole lot more. Big truck sale. Marinated chicken breasts too. Don't wait. Big steak sale at 2 different locations. In the Hardee's parking lot near Walmart at West 86th Street and Michigan Road. Also in the Hardee's lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. 20 ribeyes for just $35. Don't wait. Everything must go. Last chance this week. Big truck sale. That's 20 ribeyes for $35. West 86th Street and Michigan Road, and the second location in the Hardee's parking lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. Get there before the truck is gone.
The fall season continues at Sundown Gardens. Visit the Garden Center for a large selection of locally grown mums, pumpkins, gourds, and fall decor. Now's a great time to shop and save. Happening now at Sundown Gardens, save 50% on all pottery and herbaceous perennials. The nursery is still full of a great fall selection of trees and shrubs. Save 50% on select nursery items. Sundown Gardens, located on the corner of 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield. SundownGardens.com.
At Advent, we help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine by getting your nose and throat working with our unique Advent approach that you won't find elsewhere.
Reach your fitness goals in 2025 with a 20-minute once-a-week program at Exercise Inc. 5 locations now in Fishers. Visit exerciseinc.com.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it. Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead.
Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Up to 50% off and 2.99% financing, plus receive an additional $550 off your project.
Because at B Windows,
we mean business. We mean business.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recycler Studios, who got executed by the state and what the governor said. Vice President J.D. Vance is in the Circle City today. And the Colts are up for another home game this weekend, but you may want some extra drive time. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. We're coming up on 11 o'clock. Your news starts right now.
He did not talk to reporters. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. When President Trump left the White House a short time ago to go to Walter Reed Medical Center for a medical checkup he calls routine, and then a meeting with troops there. And in a few days, he plans to travel to Israel. As a ceasefire the president brokered for Gaza is in effect, Palestinians are walking along the waterfront in an exodus back to war-torn neighborhoods they'd fled. Israeli troops have pulled back to a predetermined line, complying with the deal, putting Hamas on the clock.
Hamas now has 72 hours to release all 48 hostages, 20 living, 28 assumed to be dead. They've got to free those hostages if it holds to the deadline by 5 a.m. Eastern on Monday. Prime Minister Netanyahu earlier addressed the nation today. He once again stressed that Hamas has to not only release all 48 hostages, but that they have to disarm completely.
Fox's Steve Harrigan in Tel Aviv. The president did not win the Nobel Peace Prize today like his supporters wanted for his Gaza peace plan. Instead, the prize was awarded to a Venezuelan opposition activist, Maria Corina Machado, who thanked the president for supporting her. Last month, Machado told Fox,
"There are more than 800 political prisoners that are under the horrible conditions, inhumane conditions. They have been tortured, they have been hurt. Everybody that raises their voice here in Venezuela is threatened."
There are troops on the streets in a crackdown on crime in another city, Memphis. A National Guard deployment is supported by Tennessee's Republican governor. Unlike the Trump deployments blocked by federal judges in Portland, Oregon, and suburban Chicago, Illinois. Fox's Garrett Tenney's there this morning.
Another big crowd here outside this ICE facility for the 6th straight week, and already this morning we've had a handful of arrests. When these trucks start to come through, bringing individuals that ICE has arrested, that are bringing for processing, that is when this crowd really gets riled up.
America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What the state did this morning. Skies are sunny. It's 58 degrees on Monument Circle. Today's high is 71. I'm Johnette Cruz. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Indiana has executed convicted murderer and rapist Roy Lee Ward. The 53-year-old was put to death by lethal injection early Friday at the Indiana State Prison for the 2001 murder of a teenage girl. Governor Mike Braun issued a statement saying his case has been heard and reviewed numerous times by both state and federal courts, including the Indiana Supreme Court since his conviction in 2002. These reviews have never resulted in an overturned sentence. This marks the state's third execution since reinstating the death penalty last year. Protesters have arrived at the State House today as Vice President J.D. Vance is in town to discuss redistricting. One protester does not think it's a good idea.
Definitely a bad idea. I think it's also now become more of a nonpartisan issue, too. There are a lot of, Republicans that I'm talking to in certain districts aren't into it as well. It's not such a democratic thing as I think, in terms of who doesn't want it.
The hot topic has been a subject of debate not only in the state, but nationally as well. Colts fans might need a few extra minutes getting to Lucas Oil Stadium Sunday. Matt Baer has the traffic.
Colts fans, watch your traffic this Sunday, especially if you use Washington Street on the east side. Entrance and exit ramps at the I-465, Washington Street US 40 interchange will be closed until after kickoff, meaning these ramps won't be available when you're going to the game. They should be reopened for your trip home. On the north side, 2 lanes are closed in each direction on 465 from Michigan Road to Ditch Road until early Monday morning. And don't forget that I-65 and Madison Avenue are under construction on the south side. Be like the Colts offensive line and allow extra time. Matt Baer, WIBC Traffic.
I'm Johnette Cruz on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Don Fisher for QC Kinetics. I was struggling with chronic knee pain and wasn't encouraged with the options of risky surgery and pain pills. QC Kinetics offered the best option for me, cutting-edge regenerative medicine. Their non-invasive treatment stimulated my body's own biologics so I could be pain-free and get back to doing what I love, playing golf. QC Kinetics has a fantastic success rate, and it's clear to see why so many Hoosiers are happy to tell their story of how they reclaimed their lives with the QC Kinetics approach. Ready to live your life pain-free? Go to qckinetics.com/Indianapolis or call 317-559-PAIN and get a no-obligation consultation. QC Kinetics uses the latest technologies, whether it's stem cell, PRP, plasma, or a number of other advanced therapies. Call QC Kinetics. It'll be the best call you will make. Get back in the game, whatever that is for you. Call 317-559-PAIN.
This hour powered by Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard Air dealer.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
This is 93 WIBC, the Kendall and Casey Show. Thrilled to be with you. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. So much stuff to talk about. Let's play a little bit of quick audio. This is of Speaker Mike Johnson, who is furious with Chuck Schumer and Democrats who are keeping the government shut down for a very dumb reason. It sounds like this is what Republicans are saying. The Democrats might be trying to keep this pain point going if they believe this is a pain point that they're winning votes with the American people. Up until October 18th, because that would be No King's Day, the official Trump rally thing, the Antifa rally stuff that's terrible and horrible and funny because there are no kings, in fact. But here's what Johnson said. I think this was last night on Fox News and some other places. There might even been actually earlier this morning on Fox News about the ridiculousness of keeping the government shut down just to reach this day, so that it can be a component to a conversation where you're blaming Trump for being a king as he's ushering in peace in places like Israel and Palestine. Darn it, who cares? Gaza, that this sort of thing is happening. Here we go.
A very patient guy, but I have had it with these people. They're playing games with real people's lives. The theory we have right now, they have a Hate America rally that's scheduled for October 18th on the National Mall. It's all the pro-Hamas wing and the Antifa people. They're all coming out. Some of the House Democrats are selling T-shirts for the event, and it's being told to us that they won't be able to reopen the government until after that rally because they can't face their rabid base. I mean, this is serious business, hurting real people. And I'm beyond words. I can't believe they're actually doing this.
Yeah, that is the accusation being made by Republicans that there is a, optic reason that they want to wait until they open the government at this point or that point or what have you. You know what's interesting about this? Taking a bit of a pivot away from the hard-hitting political, although I guess this is not necessarily light. So there's a story, studyfinds.org, a place where you can find all different kinds of things that are out there in the world of science. I think this one comes from the University of Cincinnati. They're saying that political bumper stickers make some traffic moments much more dangerous, meaning a lot of road rage spills out of people if you oppose the political stickers, the bumper stickers that the person in front of you has on their car, especially if they're a terrible driver. So someone makes a huge mistake in front of you, and as you glance in front, you also see like the Harris Walls sticker or something, and you get more irate. You get angrier, and you're like, how dare this person, this moron? And so they're saying, the study is saying that that's a thing that they're now finding. And so, you know what I find really interesting about this? So many people in society right now seem to want to boil down the, personality or the individual that's in front of them on the other side of the aisle based solely on the political leanings of that person. And more so, it seems to be true with Democrats that you want to do this violently, that you want to do this with some sort of anger and some sort of, acknowledgement of attack. And I'll tell you a story. I want to do this quickly. So I interacted with a young woman. I don't know why I say it like that. It was a chance interaction. Someone said something in a public place loud enough for me to hear it, and I decided to say something back, and it became a whole thing. There's no video on social media, don't worry. There's no fighting. But anyway, this was right after the death of Charlie Kirk, and this young person was saying how he deserved it. Like, more or less, that was basically the sentiment. And it was in a bar, and I was close by. I wasn't drunk. I don't know if she was. I think she might have been. But again, like, I couldn't swallow it. And so I said out loud that it was just ridiculous that someone who probably believes themselves to be a compassionate, kind, nice person, that their political party is aligned, at least they believe, with all of these great things that makes them the good guy and other people the bad guy, to be saying something so just uniquely unhuman, to be saying something that's just like uniquely evil and mean, like that someone deserved to be shot and killed in the street for their beliefs, for their thoughts, for having a respectful dialogue with the other side of the aisle, which is what Charlie Kirk did. Whether you hate him or love him, whether you hate or love the things that he believed, I can play you video after video. I know this is, a couple weeks ago now, and I don't know if people are still talking about this as much as I'm thinking about it. But anyway, I can play you video after video of him being nice to people that absolutely disagreed with him and seemed to hate him, actively hate him, as they're showing up to these events he would have on college campuses and debate him, all kinds of things that they would say, and he would sit there and wait, and also tell the crowd not to boo these people. But anyway, this person gets killed, and there's someone in public next to me saying how they think it's a good thing, and I couldn't help it. I couldn't sit on my hands and listen. And so eventually all I did was ask questions, which is never a good thing, because I find that the other person gets madder and madder when they can't defend their position on something, when you're not even really trying to attack with your own position, but just attack with the idea. But this young woman kept telling me how he was, hateful, and he was this and that, and he defended guns to a degree that made it make sense, that whatever, all the crazy stuff you hear. And so at the end of all of it, I think the thing that made her most mad, and the reason I wanted to bring this up in the context of a story about how your bumper sticker might make the person behind you mad if you do something on the roadway that's uniquely stupid. But what's crazy about it to me is that at the end of the day, this person could walk out of that place having said the things she said and believe themselves to still be a nice person. And essentially, I said something to that effect. What I said in response to a lot of what they were saying is, it's amazing that you can still consider yourself the good guy, or, the person on the right side of a bunch of issues if you're celebrating murder. And that's as simple as, and that set this person off. Now, granted, they eventually left the bar after yelling some stuff at me, and I just kind of sat there and was like, all right, you say what you want. You're the one talking about this in public, not me. And I do love the fact, and I'm in a place that's, a very democratic city, so you'd think there's probably more people in public that agreed with her. That just didn't speak up. But I love the fact that not a lot of other people got involved in the moment, in the argument. But again, I just want to say that very simplistically. There is a side of the political aisle right now that is sort of encouraged its own, followers to be so extreme that they celebrate murder. That's a real thing that's happening. And it's not the side of the aisle that mainstream media wants you to believe it is. It's the opposite side. It's the side that, how dare you say and do these things. And here, I'll play an example of this before we take a break. I just thought it was interesting. You had Hakeem Jeffries on MSNBC or whatever it is, MS Now or something. I can't remember what they rebranded to. But anyway, he was talking about how he promises that Democrats will, quote, weaponize the government to go after their political enemies, because he's outraged that he believes Republicans are doing that right now with some of the fringe people who are getting in trouble. People like James Comey are not, as significant as Trump was when he's running for office before he wins the office of president. And yet these are the people that Democrats are comparing, political witch hunt to when they did it to Trump. But what's ridiculous in this audio I'm going to play is that Hakeem Jeffries is pretending that Democrats didn't just do this, weaponize their own DOJ. And when you say it out loud like this too, you want political points, but you also immediately cause everyone to question why any investigation you do when you get back in power is actually done. You immediately make us question the validity, the accuracy of this, because you said out loud you're going to do it on purpose. It's the same thing with DEI or anything else. If you say out loud that I want to hire someone who's not a white guy, and then you hire someone who's not a white guy, You immediately cause people to wonder if the person you hired has qualifications because you said that you weren't going to hire someone based on the color of their skin or their sex. You were going to hire someone else based on that. And so you put it out there to begin with that the qualifications were beyond being best suited for the job. If you want DEI to be more successful, which I'm not saying I want it to be in our society, but real quick, before I hit play on this audio, just hire people that you think are best for the job. And if they happen to be, black, if they happen to be women, if they happen to be anything that they're trying to say DEI is helping hire more for, just leave that part out. Just be like, yeah, we hired the best person for the job. Why do you need the political points of saying, and we hired them because of the way they look or because of who they are and not because of, their skill set? Why even do that? But this is essentially what Democrats are doing now, saying they're going to weaponize the government again when they get back in power. Here we go.
So there's two things to keep in mind here. First of all, there's accountability for the corruption and the chaos that Donald Trump has unleashed on the American people.
Oh, my God.
From the very beginning of his presidency on January 20th, that should be tied directly to the Supreme Court and the 6 right-wing justices who basically gave Donald Trump, without justification, blanket immunity. And he's been out of control ever since. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, of course, is the fact that there are so many different corrupt sycophants within the Trump administration, including but not limited to within the Department of Justice. Now, these people don't have immunity. And the reality is the statute of limitations is 5 years, and there will be accountability with the next administration, if not before, when Democrats take back control of the House of
We're going after him, is what he's saying. By the way, my favorite point was the thing he said in the middle, too. I want to play that part real quick again.
And he's been out of control ever since.
Crazy.
So that's problem number one. Problem number two, of course, is the fact that there are so many different corrupt sycophants within the Trump administration.
All right, I want to play that right there. So here's the thing I find most interesting about that, just very quickly before we take a break. Democrats celebrate having one opinion on all kinds of stuff. The politicians do. They celebrate the idea that Democrats can say, pick their Speaker of the House easier than Republicans can. They can do this. They can do whatever it is. And they can do it as almost like a hive mind, a one way of thinking. They celebrate that uniformity, and they attack Republicans for not having that uniformity. And then Hakeem Jeffries is actually capable of saying that there are sycophants that will do whatever Trump wants to go ahead and get, his agenda done. What did Democrats do when someone is in power and you can't control him like a puppet? When Biden is actually, a president in name only, a version of a person, and they're using the auto pen to actually run the country, they love it, and they have a hive mind in how they do things. Sycophant feels like the type of description you can easily use on a Democratic Party that celebrates its own uniformity and not necessarily use on the Republican Party that at times has way more infighting, something that I actually am proud of as a conservative. I like to see that because it means that the political system is working, meaning that you're not supposed to have everybody believe the exact same thing and, rubber stamp stuff the way Democrats do. But it's just crazy. But all right, we'll take a break. A lot coming up. We'll try to have a little bit of fun. I know that Kendall and Casey have a lot of fun on the show. So we'll bring up some sillier stuff after this. Craig Collins filling in, 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
This comes at a time where people are very concerned, and rightfully so, about skyrocketing utility rates. And BlackRock is in the money-making business. They're not in the better life for you business. Somebody better do something fast. Or if you think utility rates are bad now, get ready, pal.
No problem. You know how good the legislature is about passing bills for the residents.
Kendall and Casey. Weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
At Duke Energy, we're making Indiana's energy grid stronger and more resilient, ready for storms and growing energy demands. We're adding more power to the Indiana grid. We're using new innovations and smart technology to restore outages faster. And we're doing it all in cost-efficient ways to keep bills as low as possible while we serve you with reliable energy. Duke Energy, building a smarter energy future. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
Health gives you the ability to love more, feel more, be more. Health gives you the ability to live an extraordinary life. Because every day, no matter the challenges, is a chance to breathe. Laugh until your belly aches. Cry because you care so much. and experience everything that makes your life truly extraordinary. For 150 years, Franciscan Health has been there, watching extraordinary lives unfold. Love your extraordinary life.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coating and their transformation, like your neighbor Mike.
Well, the local company that we used first was highly recommended by people in our neighborhood. We did not know until after it didn't work on our floor. It just healed up like a cheap suit. And so my wife says, we got to do something. And so she started looking around on the internet and she found Galaxy.
Lots of styles to choose from, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a lifetime warranty.
We got Galaxy out here. They got here at about 8 o'clock in the morning and they finished up at 6 o'clock that night. Other than having a beautiful garage floor, you couldn't tell they were here. Just did a wonderful job on it.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
Still looks fantastic, and anybody that visits our house, that's all they want to talk about. I mean, they just can't believe how nice the garage floor looks.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
Up to 50% off and 2.99% financing, plus receive an additional $550 off your project.
Because at B Window,
we mean business. We mean business.
93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins filling in. This is the Kendall Casey Show. Thrilled to have you with us. So many things to talk about. A couple quick things out there that I thought were just interesting. A Ryanair flight almost ran out of fuel. That's a real story. So a flight was, I think, going from Italy to Stockholm, to Glasgow, Stockholm, to Glasgow, Scotland. I don't know why I keep saying that. And apparently it was within minutes of just running out of fuel. So it had to make an emergency stop. A Boeing 737. This is crazy. The last time that I, in my own personal life, dealt with someone running out of fuel, it was the missus. Forgetting to get gas and then being on the side of the road and being like, honey, please help me bring out the gas can and fill up the gas, which I always find amusing that a human being can do that in a vehicle. But the fact that like pilots and an airline could do this with a plane and a whole bunch of people on it is downright scary as heck, to say the very least. But they're flying. They're trying to make their way to Scotland. I don't know why calling it Stockholm. And as they're going, they're like, guys, we got an issue. I wonder when they noticed it. You know, like, is it just after takeoff? Because I think you save a lot of face if you notice you didn't fuel up right after you leave. If that's when you glance at the old gas meter on the plane. I don't even know if it has one of those. But if that's what you do, and then you go, all right, we got to make a turnaround. And you just say something that's not true to all of the people on the plane. Like, we've got to make a landing. Something is not going. Everything's fine, but we got to fix something. And you never admit that you forgot to fuel up on gas. You don't tell anybody that. Instead, they had to do this, most of the way through their flight because they're idiots. They're morons. I would never fly this airline again. I would never fly for these pilots again. I'd ask for their names and make sure they weren't flying ever again because this can't be the mistake we make, people. In 2025, with all the different challenges we face, you can't be on a plane that runs out of gas. That just can't be a thing that happens. But it does feel like more and more stuff that we take for granted, you got lazier people in charge now. And as the lazier people get in charge, some bad things tend to happen. This would be one of those. All right. Another story out there that I thought was funny. There is a new version of stay-at-home person in a family. It's not a husband. It's not a wife. They're calling it the stay-at-home hub son, which is, again, a very weird name for this. This is an adult son who decides to live with mom and dad, who does a bunch of the chores around the house for mom, so she's happy, and dad's happy because he's not doing them, although maybe not exactly proud of the son who's still living at home. But apparently this is a trend. Jobless 30 and 40-something year-old adult men who decide that instead of getting a gig, instead of trying to, advance themselves in their life, the thing that they actually do is just live at home and take care of the house for Ma, and Ma pays all the bills for you. This is horrible. You know what's funny about this, actually? I'll say this quickly. At times in my life, my adult life, there have been moments where, you have ebbs and flows, like especially if you work in radio. Things are going well, things aren't going so well. And a few times in my life, Mom, my own mother, has offered to help out by having me crash with her for a bit. I have never once in my life accepted that. Never would I ever do it because be an adult human being is the thing that I told myself, even as a 20-something. Like, you never would want, once you've flown the coop, to go back and not be flying the coop again because it's the worst thing for you in your life, I think, bar none. And if you have to do it, fine. I'm not judging the people who say that they had absolutely no choice, that it was live on the street or live with mom. But it can't be something that you gravitate toward. Like even living with another relative or someone long before getting a roommate, anything you need to do to pay the bills is much, much better, in my opinion, than doing this. And then doing the chores in the house and not even getting a job. Like, uniquely, I don't know. It just seems to emasculate people even more. It seems to be the kind of things. Maybe this is because I feel as though our society is trying as much as it can to make men not men anymore. But there's something uniquely interesting about that, about being an adult 30 to 40-year-old guy who goes home to take care of the house for your mom so that she's happy and you're happy and you don't get a job. It feels very far from the typical value system that maybe most men would have for themselves to go out and, build a career and be a provider for a family of your own and not, accept that sort of help to that degree from other people. So it's just crazy to see that this is a trend and a thing going on out there. And absolutely, I judge those who choose to do this when they could do something else. All right, last thing, and then we'll take a break. The average consumer spends $150 a week on, quote, unnecessary tips. This is all the times where the tip thing pops up. You could be, say, paying at your local, mechanic, and all of a sudden they slip the thing around and there's a 20% tip option. Americans still say yes to that. 2/3 of American consumers are experiencing tip fatigue. There's a whole lot of situations now where you might even typically tip that you choose not to because you're just sick of tipping everywhere else in society and everything else that goes on. But I thought that was really interesting. $150 of unnecessary tipping. You have to get better at saying no, just in your own mind, to that moment where someone flips the screen around and says it's going to ask you a couple questions, and you're like, no tip for you. You get none. None is fine. And then also still tipping people that actually deserve it. I do think there's scenarios where, like, if you go out to eat and you have a waiter or a waitress, you should always tip that person. You shouldn't stiff them because you're mad about everybody else you tipped. You made a decision, and their income actually works quite a bit on tips. So that's the other part that I think is bad. I think that we go too far, but I do think that's interesting. $150 sounds about right, and you just got to get better at saying no. It's one of the first things you can do to actually impact your financial bottom line. Stop tipping people who don't deserve it. It should be a Ramsey win moving forward. All right, quick break. A lot coming up. Craig Hans filling in on Kendall and Casey, 93 WIBC.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems will subside. And we have the most simple and convenient, ultra-effective in-office solutions that can do just that. And this is why people have traveled by planes, trains, and automobiles from corners of the world you would never think of to find the sleep apnea and snoring relief you won't find elsewhere.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
Truck drivers, don't miss out on the unmatched consistency of a Schneider driving job. At Schneider, you can find a driving position that fits your lifestyle and goals, all while getting the pay you deserve. Plus, Schneider drivers operate state-of-the-art, well-maintained equipment and have access to award-winning benefits and a 24/7 support team. Explore Schneider's huge selection of driving jobs today and find your perfect fit at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Social media and safety. I'm Jenna Cruz. Here's what's trending at 11:30. A Texas investigation covering online safety is expanding to include the use of the messaging platform Discord ahead of the assassination of Charlie Kirk last month. Fox's Jeff Manasso reports.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton accusing the popular chat platform Discord of exposing minors to sexual exploitation and extremism, as the state also looks into reports that Charlie Kirk's alleged killer used the platform to plan the crime. Paxton saying he's standing shoulder to shoulder with the Trump administration to root out and defeat violent extremism.
The federal government is now on the 10th day of a shutdown as Congress remains unable to agree on a funding bill. House Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and members of the Democratic Party in Congress have argued that the bill must extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies to prevent a spike in health care costs for millions of Americans. I'm Jenna Cruz on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Fall is here, and if that means it's time for new flooring in your home, then Brothers Floor Covering is ready to help. Brand new carpet, hardwoods, laminates, and luxury vinyl plank in stock now. Plus, Brothers Floor Covering can get your new flooring installed in as little as a few weeks. Visit Brothers Floor Covering today at their new location, 8550 Michigan Road. Discover why buying local means receiving more, not paying more. Get the flooring of your dreams installed now. Stop in today or visit brothers-floorcovering.com.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
20 ribeyes for $35. That's 20 ribeyes for $35 at 2 locations in Indianapolis going on now. 20 ribeyes for only $35 in the Hardee's parking lot near Walmart at West 86th Street and Michigan Road. Just look for the big truck. Also in the Hardee's lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. Also on the big truck is cases of T-bones, fillets, New York strips, burgers, and a whole lot more. Big truck sale. Marinated chicken breasts too. Don't wait. Big steak sale at 2 different locations. In the Hardee's parking lot near Walmart at West 86th Street and Michigan Road. Also in the Hardee's lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. 20 ribeyes for just $35. Don't wait. Everything must go. Last chance this week. Big truck sale. That's 20 ribeyes for $35. West 86th Street and Michigan Road, and the second location in the Hardee's parking lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. Get there before the truck is gone.
At Price Point Comfort, we promise you'll never be sold something you don't need. Call us at 317-455-1124 or see us at PricePointComfort.com.
Price Point Comfort is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air dealer.
#93 WIBC. This is the Kendall and Casey Show. My name is Craig Collins. Filling in, thrilled to be with you. I think that Casey Daniel will be popping up later on today, filling in on the Hammer and Nigel show. And as she says in her own promo for it, I may or may not be wearing pants. So I just continue to say that. I feel like I'm adding to the promo, Casey, someone who I've never met out there. I don't mean to be overly obsessing about this, but I think it's a pretty funny promo. And so we'll find out at the start of that show if you do choose to wear pants or not. It is exciting. And honestly, I get very excited at times in my own life, and pants become a secondary thing for me, too. I get it, all of it. All right, real quick, I haven't talked about this, and I wanted to just quickly discuss Trump not getting the Nobel Peace Prize. There's a couple reasons I think this is really interesting. So first, President Trump was nominated by a lot of different world leaders. People who were saying that he ushered in peace here or he did that over there. He just did a lot of things for the betterment of the world. And then obviously on the heels of also having a deal in place between Hamas and Israel for peace in Gaza, for a ceasefire in Gaza and the end of that conflict and the returning of hostages, all of those things feel like they might have further demonstrated that Trump was deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize. Granted, that last one might have happened too late to actually be considered. Instead, they gave the prize to a woman who's in hiding, which is a uniquely interesting thing to me. The Venezuelan opposition leader, Corina Machado, is someone that has been fighting a lot of things that happen in Venezuela and doing so by being very vocal about exactly how she thinks things are going wrong in that country. But her impact on the world right now is continuing to be alive, essentially being in hiding, not being allowed to have a political position of any kind. And so I ask you this, no matter how moving that story might be and how much people might applaud from the sidelines, someone who's fighting, a unique regime, however they're fighting it, by just simply being someone who continues to exist on the earth, does that really usher in peace throughout the rest of the world or have an impact on the rest of the world in the same way? It's motivational. It's inspiring, again, for anyone that sees it as courageous. But is it actually doing things like what Trump is doing? The answer is no. And so as harsh as it might be to say it, for some of the lefties to hear it, and Trump said that absolutely it seemed like the Nobel Peace Prize played politics by not wanting to put Trump forward as the actual winner of the prize, which is absolutely what it seems like they did. They were almost desperate to find someone that they think you won't criticize as the person to choose to actually be the recipient of the award. Because, again, she's in hiding and her life is in danger, as what they say in Venezuela. And that's actually true. I'm not trying to discredit it. It's true. But you have a unique, ceiling to the amount of impact you have on the world if you're someone who's been barred from any sort of power position and essentially is in hiding. You have an inability to say impact these countries or those countries and be anything other than a symbol or someone that people say, oh, man, that's a very inspiring person fighting powers within her country, not necessarily someone doing a lot to impact the whole world the way that Trump is. He easily deserved the award. And so, you know what's more amusing than anything else to me about it? There's a secondary story that's popping up aligned with this, saying, what is Trump going to do in response to not winning the Nobel Peace Prize? Norway better watch out, I think is one of the headlines out there. But the world waits for blowback, essentially is what they're saying. At the end of the day, I doubt anything happens whatsoever. If anything, you know what's really interesting to me? Sometimes what people most misunderstand about Trump, about President Trump, is the way that his unique ego works. Because absolutely he has a unique ego. Absolutely he thinks of himself in unique terms that not many people in the world do. It's why you put Trump on every single building you build. But he actually, I think, would be motivated in this situation to usher in even more peace, to embarrass the Nobel Peace Prize group by having an even greater impact on the world in a positive way. I think that the uniqueness of the spitefulness, or whatever you want to call it, of President Trump that may exist is a way in which to expose, the terrible decision that gets made. And you don't do that by doing something awful, which, again, he never does. When they say that, having the power to go ahead and use nuclear weapons means we're all in danger, and then Trump never uses nuclear weapons and instead ushers in peace a lot of places. All of those things just seemed, misinformed. But I think the best way for President Trump to actually respond to not gaining the Nobel Peace Prize is to keep doing what he's been doing that seemed to make him deserving of the award in the first place, and not do the stuff that everybody in media is claiming he's going to do that's going to be horrible and terrible for you and me and everyone else, because he's upset now. He's angry and he's going to, fight back. It's actually amazing. And I'll say this in response to another story that's out there, because you have Tish James getting in more trouble. You have other politicians potentially getting in trouble. You have people like James Comey, who are not politicians, but actually kind of seem like they are, getting in trouble too. And you're saying that the, DOJ is weaponizing that department, even though the craziest thing is how much it got weaponized when, Trump was running for office and they went after him. But what I just think is so amazing about, that discussion or those pivot points for media in our society, or the way in which we have some of these conversations, is they're really designed around one basic idea, that Trump is more spiteful, more vengeful, meaner than other people are. And that's why they couch any of these sort of ideas in, well, he's going to do it because he's the meanest guy in the room. And yet some of the craziest stuff that has happened and continues to happen in our society feels like it comes from the left. It feels like the anger, the how dare you. And I'll say one other thing about this, and I know I'm kind of just repeating something you've probably heard several times before. But I lived for a long time in Chicago. I almost said that I was born and raised there, which isn't true. I was actually born and raised in Jersey. But I lived for a long time in Chicago, and I have a lot of friends on social media, somewhat friends, whatever you want to call them, who are essentially very Democratic, very left-leaning, who say these crazy things on social media now that seem so ridiculous and so extreme and so prone to have violence be the next step in the equation. And then they go home and they think to themselves, we're great. We're nice people. We're wonderful. We're fighting the good fight. It's crazy to see that level of anger coming out of the left the way it does, and then to keep accusing the right of being the angry people. I want to play this audio, too. This is CNN dealing with the Tish James story, the New York Attorney General, who may get in trouble for mortgage fraud of her own. And I love how they say that every American is committing mortgage fraud, every single one. We're all in this together, essentially, as a response to how dare this be the charge that gets brought by, any judicial system against a Democratic politician or a Democratic person, which is crazy. Because I want to remind people before I hit play on this, that that's exactly what they were saying about Trump and business people. They were saying that every business in the country is committing fraud. If what Trump did to get better loans on interest rates for himself, professionally for his organization, which I don't think he actually does so much himself, but the people who work for him do. They were saying that everyone else who does the same thing are the people that are accused of committing the same crime, and that it's going to hurt business as a whole if you hold more people to this weird standard. CNN is now saying that about Tish James and about people in their own private lives.
Aside for a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this. Does that...
Yeah, that's exactly what they were saying, again, about Trump and about business practices in which you encourage banks to give you better deals by inflating your own assets, inflating your own net value. And I said this about Trump a second ago, and I'll say it again. His unique ego, if you asked him how much he's worth, he's always going to say a whole bunch of money. He's like, I think we're worth a tremendous amount of money because I'm me and my brand has a tremendous amount of value. And darn it, I want you rise to the role of being the president of the country. You would think that many people might agree with you. That, yeah, that does sound like you might have a whole lot more value added to the organization. But it's just really interesting to me, again, that these same complaints, basic ideas, just continue to expose the hypocrisy on one side of the aisle. All right, I want to play something else. This is audio from, I think, Fox earlier today, talking about First Lady Melania Trump. She's got a documentary coming out in January, and some of the ways in which she was communicating behind the scenes with individuals like Vladimir Putin. This is something that Fox talked about as they celebrated the Israel-U.S. Phase 1 of a peace deal with Hamas, the terrorist group that's going to be releasing Israeli hostages, some of which who have, been tortured, are still alive, 20 or so of which are finally going to get to go home. But here's a little bit of this audio, which I think is really interesting as Melania Trump becomes kind of a bigger focus than she's been since President Trump first got into the White House.
Melania Trump's announcement. This is huge for First Lady to be speaking with Vladimir Putin, who, by the way, under the Biden administration could not do a deal with our president and somehow has managed to do this backdoor deal with the First Lady of the United States.
You'd have to go back to Eleanor Roosevelt to find a First Lady who dealt with diplomacy and security issues like this. It's extraordinary. And I think there's a connection between what we just heard with Melania Trump and what's happened in Gaza. what this administration takes every conventional wisdom and breaks it over its knee. The conventional wisdom in the Middle East was you can't make peace unless you first make a Palestinian state. So Donald Trump comes along in 2020 and gets the Abraham Accords. The conventional wisdom in Gaza was first you have to have a ceasefire for a little while and you get some of the hostages back. He turns it around. No, we're going to get all the hostages back first, all at once. And then you're going to have a long ceasefire.
Yep.
And so this is the secret of the success of the administration in diplomacy, is that they just don't accept the conventional wisdoms, and they break them over their knees.
By the way, the actual thing that Melania Trump announced herself is that she has a deal in place with Russian President Vladimir Putin that will help reunite children that have been displaced by the war in Ukraine, someone who cares deeply about children. Again, what's so interesting about this, and I guess the reason that I would even care to mention it toward the end of the show today, is optically, this is a game I like to play in my own mind, and I hope you play it occasionally too. If you remove the names of the people and the Republican or Democrat label that gets added to them, and you just said someone, a first lady or anybody in a position adjacent to power, wound up brokering a unique deal that helps return children that are displaced in a country that's been torn apart by war, and all that stuff. You don't say Trump, you don't say Melania, you don't say Republican or Democrat. You just tell the story without those variables. The Mad Lib, where you remove some of the words. Everyone on both sides of the aisle would celebrate this as a tremendous win. They're like, oh man, that's so great. That's so lovely. It's so wonderful that someone cares about something like this. And as a first lady, the fact that she's not overstepping in the world of diplomacy in some other way, but doing it to help kids, it sounds like the exact same thing that they do when they celebrate Michelle Obama saying that kids need better meals in school. Even though this is a much more important thing, I think, on a world stage than, say, making sure that the meal in your classroom is a little bit better, to actually, return kids who are displaced in a war-torn place. But it's amazing because it will not be covered that way. It will be not talked about that way because hate is at the forefront of a lot of the way that people discuss many of these stories, even if they deny it. It's actually something really interesting that Bill Maher said to Jimmy Kimmel. I always put that in air quotes when I say it, because Maher was talking on his television show to Jimmy Kimmel, who may or may not have been watching that show at that time. He wasn't on the show with him. But he said that part of the reason that Kimmel behaved the way he did about Charlie Kirk and definitely did things that were inappropriate and wrong was because he's allowing hate for Donald Trump to fuel so much of the way he reacts to any story out there in the world. And Maher, who's definitely not a guy I disagree or agree with on a lot of things, saying that seemed to make sense. Yeah, when you wake up in the morning and you're so angry at certain things that you have to process all information through that lens first, you get to a place where you cover negatively, obviously positive stories. You also have this happen, where the first lady can broker a deal that helps kids get reunited back with families after going through the horrific things that Ukraine has been going through with Vladimir Putin directly. And you'll have a lot of media just immediately crap on poo-poo and ignore the story because of how much hate they have, and they claim not to have, for President Trump and anything tied to him. But all right, we'll take one last break. We'll come back. We'll do a little bit more fun before we get out of here and move on. This is Craig Collins filling in, Kendall and Casey, 93 WIBC.
Hey, it's Casey filling in for the #1 rated Hammer and Nigel show. And to celebrate, I may not wear pants. Join me Friday on 93 WIBC.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems will subside. And we have the most simple and convenient, ultra-effective in-office solutions that can do just that. And this is why people have traveled by planes, trains, and automobiles from corners of the world you would never think of to find the sleep apnea and snoring relief you won't find elsewhere.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
AdventKnows.com.
Most insurance accepted.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coating and their transformation, like your neighbor Mike.
Well, the local company that we used first was highly recommended by people in our neighborhood. We did not know until after it didn't work on our floor. It just healed up like a cheap suit. And so my wife says, we got to do something. And so she started looking around on the internet and she found Galaxy.
Lots of styles to choose from, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a lifetime warranty.
We got Galaxy out here. They got here at about 8 o'clock in the morning and they finished up at 6 o'clock that night. Other than having a beautiful garage floor, you couldn't tell they were here. Just did a wonderful job on it.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
Still looks fantastic, and anybody that visits our house, that's all they want to talk about. I mean, they just can't believe how nice the garage floor looks.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
Football is back, and so are great hairlines. We Grow Hair Indy has helped former local professional football players get back in the game with full natural hair. You don't have to play pro ball to get pro-level results. Hey, it's Rob, and I knew I picked the right team when I needed a Hail Mary for my hair. I called We Grow Hair Indy. Whether you're tailgating, coaching, or watching from the couch, do it with confidence. Trade the sidelines for a hairline. Get back in the game at We Grow Hair Indy. Schedule your free evaluation today at WeGrowHairIndy.com. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com or call 317-522-2995. That's 317-522-2995. Enjoy being out and about this fall. Enjoy watching the games in person with your friends with confidence you haven't had in years. And you can do it with a trip to We Grow Hair Indy. 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Tell them Rob sent you.
20 ribeyes for $35. That's 20 ribeyes for $35 at 2 locations in Indianapolis going on now. 20 ribeyes for only $35 in the Hardee's parking lot near Walmart at West 86th Street and Michigan Road. Just look for the big truck. Also in the Hardee's lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. Also on the big truck is cases of T-bones, fillets, New York strips, burgers, and a whole lot more. Big truck sale. Marinated chicken breasts too. Don't wait. Big steak sale at 2 different locations. In the Hardee's parking lot near Walmart at West 86th Street and Michigan Road. Also in the Hardee's lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. 20 ribeyes for just $35. Don't wait. Everything must go. Last chance this week. Big truck sale. That's 20 ribeyes for $35. West 86th Street and Michigan Road, and the second location in the Hardee's parking lot at the corner of Franklin Road and Pendleton Pike. Get there before the truck is gone.
Truck drivers, don't miss out on the unmatched consistency of a Schneider driving job. At Schneider, you can find a driving position that fits your lifestyle and goals, all while getting the pay you deserve. Plus, Schneider drivers operate state-of-the-art, well-maintained equipment and have access to award-winning benefits and a 24/7 support team. Explore Schneider's huge selection of driving jobs today and find your perfect fit at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Snap it. Send it. Hear it. Your photos, your video, your voice on WIBC. Join the text club by texting WIBC to 317-239-9393.
WIBC. This is the Kendall and Casey show for a little bit longer. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Tony Katz is coming up after that. You have Casey Daniel filling in along with the Hammer and Nigel show and talking about whether or not she's so excited she may or may not be wearing pants, which I just continue to laugh at throughout the whole show. All right, a couple other silly things. I'll actually be in for Dana Lash tonight on the Dana show, which airs from 9 o'clock to 11. I'll be on it nationally, not just here in Indianapolis, not trying to brag. But I want to preview that by giving you some of the Florida man stories a unique segment she does every day on her show that is hilarious. So this is a preview of what's coming up on the Dana Show later today here in Indianapolis and all throughout the country. There's several crazy Florida man stories out there. First, a Florida man robbed a grocery store, convenience store, to the tune of $7,000 of lottery scratch-offs. That's the part that sounds, like something you might see somewhere else. The part that makes it a Florida story is he went back to the same place to get paid on the winners. So he stole $7,000 of lotto tickets, left the convenience store, went home and scratched them, I guess, which is the wrong way to play scratchers. You just got to go to a place where you can scan the code and redeem. You don't actually have to go to a place where you scratch them all. That's a terrible way to play that. But anyway, when he found out he won some stuff, he went back. He's like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I may or may not have stole some of these. I'd really like to have the prizes now. And then you got arrested. That's the part where he made the Florida man mistake that I really love. A naked Florida man was chasing around Walmart workers inside the grocery store and in the parking lot. He was then found agitated and paranoid in the woods around the Walmart. This happened in Lake City in Florida. Yeah, every part of that checked out. When I read through that story that CBS News had actually reported on out of Miami, you say to yourself, yeah, if you're a dude who's naked around a Walmart and crazy and, following around workers, and then eventually you disappear, the most likely place you're going to find that guy is alone in the woods, agitated and paranoid. All that makes sense. Really a crazy story. A Florida man stole a woman's purse. This happened just a little while ago, just a few days ago. And the crazy part about it, I guess the reason that this becomes a Florida story too, the woman had a 1-month-old kitten inside of her purse. So it wasn't the dog move. You had a cat move. The kitten wound up being, recovered and is fine. The purse is fine. The guy got arrested. But nonetheless, the thing that makes you feel weird after you steal the purse of someone and you look in it is it doesn't have any money. It's got a little baby cat, a little adorable kitten inside the purse. Dogs are better than cats, by the way. But nonetheless, I thought this was funny. And then eventually, maybe for that reason, you choose to return the thing. But a guy got caught doing something uniquely stupid. And a woman has a uniquely odd thing, having a little baby animal inside the purse. That screams Florida to me, too. All right, 2 more. This story is about a mother and father who decided they didn't want their 16-year-old teenager anymore. And look, I get it. If you're a parent and you're going through the teenage years with especially with a male, with a young boy, it becomes more difficult sometimes. But this is something you can't do, and they chose to do it. They left the 16-year-old on the side of the road with, quote, a bag of guns and a wad of cash and told him to fend for himself. Uniquely Florida in the decision-making. That kid hopefully is with a much safer family now. Bag of guns, wad of cash. You'll be okay, son. Feels like a weird way to have a weekend. All right, I'm out of here. You got Tony Katz coming up next, and Casey Daniels filling in on Hammer and Nigel later today. Craig Collins, 93 WIBC, The Kendall and Casey Show.
Of all the times to buy a new Lincoln, right now is the very best time at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months on 2025 Lincoln Corsair, Nautilus, or Aviator. Plus get a $1,000 Tom Roush Trade Assist bonus. So come get that new Lincoln from Tom Roush Lincoln, where our family's been serving yours for over 53 years.
Subject to credit approval. Not all buyers will qualify. See dealer for complete offer details. Offer ends 10/31/2025.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, here to share a great offer from my friend Lance and the team at LD Smith Plumbing. Have you ever run out of hot water halfway through your shower? Yikes! And that's why I recommend tankless water heaters. They provide 24 hours of hot water, lower your energy bills, and take up less space. Right now, LD Smith is offering $1,500 off tankless water heaters through the end of the month. Give Lance a call, 317-927-7186, or schedule online at ldsmithplumbing.com.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this.
Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Tune in to the Absolute Retirement Planning Show.
When retirement comes about, we're now relying on what we have saved to meet those needs.
Sundays at 9 a.m. right here on 93 WIBC.
Up to 50% off and 2.99% financing, plus receive an additional $550 off your project.
Because at B Windows,
we mean business.
We mean business.
On the level, on the go. 93 WIBC Indianapolis.
Coming up.
We are against you. Get the hell out of here.
This is a very troubling thing that's going on across.
You can bet that the government remains closed and.
This is the WIBC News at noon.
The vice president arrives and the protests begin.
Sunny and 57 in downtown Indianapolis. Temperatures climbing into the 70s later today. I'm Donna Cruz.
And I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending at noon.
We are against you. Get the hell out of here.
That is the sound of dozens of people outside the State House about 30 minutes ago protesting redistricting. Some went a step further, bringing along an unusual seat, holding signs, and giving the vice president a less than warm welcome.
So you have a recliner out here. This is very interesting.
Yes, well, let's be really specific. It's a couch recliner.
Okay.
Yes, we wanted to make sure that we let the Vice President J.D. Vance know that, we brought his favorite thing.
This person says they hope leaders leave the congressional voting maps as they are.
This is a very troubling thing that's going on across the nation, with Texas having started this. To try to tip the scales to maintain power is not how we do things in our democracy.
And Governor Braun just took to social media to thank the vice president for stopping by and meeting with him. The governor said that redistricting was part of the conversation. He added that he looks forward to continuing the partnership to advance both Indiana and the nation.
A ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is now in effect, potentially ending a conflict that has lasted more than 2 years. Meanwhile, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth met with Qatar's defense minister at the Pentagon.
You have been a core part of what has unfolded in Gaza, a historic moment. No one other than President Trump could have achieved the peace that what we believe will be a lasting peace in Gaza. And Qatar played a substantial role from the beginning, working with our folks to ensure that came about.
Now, on Wednesday, Israel and Hamas agreed to the first phase of a deal, and that ceasefire went into effect today. It will see an exchange of hostages and prisoners.
The government is still shut down as Congress debates funding.
You can bet that the government remains closed until at least the end of next week. The Senate is out until next Tuesday. Test votes continue to fail, and President Trump is still threatening to penalize Democrats with cuts.
And we'll be making cuts that will be permanent. And we're only going to cut Democrat programs. I hate to tell you. I guess that makes sense.
Republicans claim that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is treating federal workers as pawns. Schumer said it was getting, quote, better for Democrats the longer the shutdown lingers. Now, the Senate takes a 9th test vote on Tuesday on the same things which have failed before. Workers will miss paychecks next week.
And that's Fox's Chad Pergram reporting from Capitol Hill.
Why a Hoosier lawmaker is worried about students skipping school and why the Pacers will be sidelined for a bit. These stories are coming up next on 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, no Nobel for Donald Trump, but troops are going to Israel. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
And WIBC News Time is 12:03. Protests continue at the ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois, after a federal judge blocked President Trump's plan to send about 300 National Guard troops to the Windy City.
Judge April Perry, a Biden appointee, really laid into the Justice Department attorneys, pointing out that just this week, federal prosecutors dropped charges against 4 of the 5 individuals who allegedly resisted or assaulted officers during protests at at this facility. Those cases were part of the government's justification for why the guard was needed. Judge Perry asked attorneys, what if DHS folks are not tethered to reality in their assessment of events, and later added, this indicates to me a certain lack of credibility of both Irofiant and DHS in general. Illinois' Attorney General reiterated those arguments after this ruling came down.
Fox's Garrett Tenney from the scene.
Indianapolis Colts fans might need to take some time getting to Lucas Oil Stadium because it's already a big task getting there on game day. Matt Baer explains.
Colts fans, watch your traffic this Sunday, especially if you use Washington Street on the east side. Entrance and exit ramps at the I-465 Washington Street US 40 interchange will be closed until after kickoff, meaning these ramps won't be available when you're going to the game. They should be reopened for your trip home. On the north side, 2 lanes are closed in each direction on 465 from Michigan Road to Ditch Road until early Monday morning. And don't forget that I-65 and Madison Avenue are under construction on the south side. Be like the Colts offensive line and allow extra time. Matt Baer, WIBC Traffic.
Chronic absenteeism is one of the things Indiana lawmakers say they are addressing. John Herrick explains how.
The state defines chronic absenteeism as a student missing at least 10% of school days. State Representative and former Indianapolis Colts punter Hunter Smith of Zionsville says first it's about finding out what inspires kids.
I think it's important to remember that Hoosier students learn best in a variety of different ways. So it's important that we give them options that meet their needs.
He says hands-on experiences like internships and apprenticeships can really motivate them and provide them with a head start when considering their careers. Indiana's chronic absenteeism rate has improved every year for the last 3 years across all grade levels and student populations. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And the Indiana Pacers said Thursday that guard T.J. McConnell is going to be out for a while.
I think it's safe to say that he'll be out at least a month. Not as bad as it could have been.
That's head coach Rick Carlisle saying the team has also signed guard Cam Payne, who played for the Knicks last year.
I'm Jonette Cruz.
And I'm Ryan Hedrick, on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com.
This hour powered by Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard Air dealer.
Live from the heartland and the crossroads of America, it's Tony Katz Today.
So Trump cancels the meeting with China. It's a big deal, kids. It's a big deal. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. That's what you should do. Go there immediately. The live stream on YouTube is where you find it. First things first, though, you have President Trump not getting the Nobel Prize. Not getting the Nobel Prize means, well, somebody's to blame. Who would get the Nobel Prize if not Trump? You got peace in the Middle East. First, we all understand we don't have peace in the Middle East. We have the opportunity for peace in the Middle East. That's what we have. And I like the opportunity. Don't get me wrong. I think it's fantastic. And when I say opportunity, no, I don't actually believe there's an opportunity to have peace with Hamas. I believe it is impossible. But you can get the hostages back, and dang it, I'll take it. So will all rational people. They will take it. Nobody else was getting this done. Nobody else even tried to get this done. Right? It's History of the World Part 1. Did you BS this week? No. Did you try to BS this week? Yes. Trump's the guy trying. And I go back to his speech at the United Nations, which this was a great line. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, the issue in Africa here, the issue over here, what I'm trying to do with Ukraine and Russia. What do you people do all day? Not a one of you even called to say, hey, you need any help? You don't care. None of you are in the peace game. You're in the calling Israel genocidal game. You're in the hating Western civilization game and taking our money. If there was ever a moment in time to say we don't need the United Nations, right now is indeed one of those moments. Good gosh. The Nobel Prize, one would have thought, would go to Trump for the work. It did not. It went to a woman in Venezuela. Now, be clear. There are people doing good things out there who aren't named Donald Trump. Maria Corina, it's Maria Corina, Machado, Machado, has been fighting the Maduro regime, has been trying to create a valuable Venezuela, which is a very difficult thing to do when you've got Nicolas Maduro breathing down your neck and trying to rip you apart. She is the woman who got the Nobel Peace Prize. Is she worthy? Is she not worthy? I don't know. It's the Nobel Peace Prize. They gave this thing to Yasser Arafat. Who the bloody heck wants it? Who possibly could want that? Yasser Arafat is a Nobel Peace Prize winner? Dear Lord. But the awards do matter. Remember, they gave this award to Barack Obama in 2009. He never did anything. The world is not safer because Barack Obama sat in the Oval Office for 8 years. It is not safer. You can't say the same thing about Donald Trump. Their argument is, the announcement about Gaza and Israel, that came out on a Wednesday, and we made our decision on Monday. Just missed it. Okay, fantastic, terrific. I don't know if this woman is a good person or a bad person. If I had read the information right, she was very appreciative of President Trump and sharing this with him because he's on the side of peace. You got a whole bunch of people saying that she's a very, very fine choice because pushing against Maduro is a good thing to be doing. This is something that should be happening. I know people are going to be upset about it. But I swear to you, my money was on Greta Thunberg. Why would I have ever assumed, that the Nobel Committee would do something like give an award to Trump and engage with him a level of legitimacy? I would never have made that assumption. And I can't believe you would have made that assumption either. But here we are. No Nobel for Trump. Maybe next year. We will see what we will see, But it doesn't mean that the woman who won it is necessarily a bad person. Meanwhile, we have got issues with China. That is coming up. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today.
Day 10 of the government shutdown, which will last till at least Tuesday.
93 WIBC.
Everybody's celebrating. Everybody loves the deal.
The facts and the law in this case are clear.
What happens next?
American forces are going to be in Israel.
Happens here.
Aid is now scheduled to pour into Gaza.
Hamas released the rest of the hostages.
Stay in the know.
Led in a high-speed chase that killed 3 people.
While you're on the go.
Violent protests surrounding ICE action.
We're trying to be grounded in reality as much as possible.
On air, online, and on Alexa.
Stuck in a job that just isn't getting it done? Maybe it's time to go for IT. Whether you're just starting out, switching careers, or a military veteran ready for change, My Computer Career can help you launch a rewarding career in IT in months. No prior experience needed. Why spend years getting a traditional degree when your future in IT can start right now? Take the free career evaluation at mycomputercareer.edu today. Your most powerful upgrade? Your career. Go for it. Go for IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808.
It's JMV. The fall season continues at Miss M's Home and Garden. Visit Johnson County's premier garden center for a large selection of locally grown mums, pumpkins, gourds, and fall decor. Now is a great time to shop and save. Happening now at Miss M's. Save 50% on pottery and herbaceous perennials, along with 40% savings on in-stock patio furniture. Don't forget, they also have a selection of trees and shrubs up to 50% off. Miss M's Home and Garden, located on State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville.
I'm a veteran. My victory was admitting I had PTSD and getting help.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I no longer see it as a weakness, but as a sign of strength. I call it post-traumatic growth.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran. I lost both legs in Vietnam.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was getting my benefits and a good education.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe. My victory was finding the help I needed.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
David was in big trouble with the IRS.
At first, I didn't owe that much, but after this year, it was out of control.
Then David called Get a Tax Lawyer.
Right away, they were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to save.
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
Call 800-745-3070. That's 800-745-3070.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
Hey, it's Casey filling in for the #1 rated Hammer and Nigel show. And to celebrate, I may not wear pants. Join me Friday on 93 WIBC.
Some very strange things are happening in China. Those the words of President Trump saying on Truth Social, quote, they are becoming very hostile and sending letters to countries throughout the world that they want to impose export controls on each and every element of production having to do with rare earths and virtually anything else they can think of, even if it's not manufactured in China. And with that, President Trump says, well, we're supposed to meet in South Korea in 2 weeks, but I don't think there's a reason to do so now. And the market then dropped 500 points and the gold price shot up because, well, this is instability. But there is a foreign policy conversation to be had in this instability. Tony Katz today, good to be with you. Chuck DeVore joins me right now. He is the Chief National Initiatives Officer at the Texas Public Policy Foundation, texaspolicy.com, served in the California Assembly and served in the Reagan-era Pentagon. People are going to look at this as an economic conversation. I'm telling you, this is in no way simply an economics conversation. This is all breaking today. You hear this information, Chuck. What does it say to you?
Well, there's a couple of things going on. I mean, first of all, it's very important to understand that the People's Republic of China, the Chinese Communist Party, is pursuing a mercantilist, predatory capitalist model. So at the very least, from an economic standpoint, what China has methodically done is it has seized certain key portions of the supply chain without which not only the United States, but the entire world can't operate. And the way it does that with rare earths is it makes sure that it controls all of the rare earth refining. Rare earths aren't really as rare as the name would imply. They're all over the place. The challenge is it's difficult to dig them out of the ground with economically viable concentrations and then refine it. It's actually the refining, which is very dirty, energy intensive, difficult. We don't do much of that in America because China has undercut our prices so that they can control the entire supply chain. These things are important for magnets. They're important for sensors used for high-tech military defense articles. You really can't have either a modern economy or a modern military without rare earths, and China controls the rare earths.
Now, the control aspect, though, the adding the controls to that is not specifically to an economic advantage. We have been hearing that this is to a geopolitical advantage, trying to increase things now so when they do meet, hey, we can make a trade deal with this. China's saying we can make a trade deal with that. But maybe you could do us a favor and stop paying attention to Taiwan so much in their defense. Is a lot of this a maneuver to try, as the Wall Street Journal had written the story, to get the United States to back off defending Taiwan so China can have its reunification policy without question?
Yeah, I think China sees an opening right now, and they see an opening for a number of reasons. First of all, they have engaged in an unprecedented military buildup, unprecedented modern history, mostly because if Hitler had a bigger economy under Germany, perhaps their buildup in the 1930s would be the largest. But because China's economy is so giant, their military buildup has actually eclipsed what Hitler was able to do in the late 1930s. It is truly unprecedented. And what's important for America, a huge amount of that buildup has been with the Navy, not Army or Air Force strength, but the Navy. And that's a direct threat to U.S. interests in the Indo-Pacific and really globally. So that's number one. They have this huge buildup. Number two is that America, because of the weakness under both Obama and Biden and the fact that it takes a while to turn this defense ship around, or the Department of War as it's now properly been renamed, there is some people around Trump who think that we don't have enough military force to be able to defend Taiwan. And on top of that, that the Taiwanese themselves have been pretty lackadaisical about their defense. They don't really put a lot of their GDP into defense, and some of it is because they're only 90 miles away from China at the narrowest point, and they have a divided government. The Kuomintang, the old nationalist party, controls the legislature in Taiwan, and they are very reluctant right now to increase defense spending because the Kuomintang is corrupt, and they look to Beijing to cut deals with and to try to get rich off of. And so Taiwan itself is divided. And so you have this feeling that perhaps America's commitment to Taiwan is not as strong as it could be. So you have a growing, strengthening China and supposedly, at least perception-wise, a weakening commitment to Taiwan. So Xi Jinping thinks, well, maybe I can pry Trump away from any commitment to Taiwan, and we can perhaps, in air quotes, peacefully reunify with Taiwan because America won't do anything about it.
Talking to Chuck Tavor of the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Find his work at texaspolicy.com. I do look at the geopolitical here, and I do think that it matters. This canceling of this trip with China, is it possible that, with Trump, he looks at everything as, hey, if it's not going to be on my terms, if it's not going to be to my bettering condition, I'm not interested in it. How does China respond to this type of cancellation?
Well, certainly they're going to see if they can engage in some sort of a negotiation, right? They're going to, certainly the drop in the stock market today is going to get Trump's attention. It's going to get the attention of people around Trump who are in the business community. People are going to say, gee, this is, we don't refine these rare earths yet. Can you make a deal? Can some sort of an arrangement be had? The other thing, of course, is that Trump has been trying to crack down on the Russian ghost fleet and has been enacting secondary sanctions on people who have been illegally buying Russian energy. Mostly, of course, India, and then, another target being China, because those are the two countries that are buying the most Russian oil. And so this is a way of fighting back. This is a way of China fighting fire with fire and showing Trump that America isn't the only country that holds significant economic cards. And so they're trying to increase pain to get what they want. And I think what they want isn't merely, maybe it is simply more favorable economic terms. But there's something about this round that makes me think that this may be, as you speculate, more about Taiwan than merely trying to even to shift the terrain more in China's favor on trade terms. So, look, the fact of the matter is that October is one of the best 2 months for invading Taiwan. It's that and April. The weather in the Taiwan Strait is usually pretty bad. And so October is a good or better month than normal for military operations in the Strait. And so you've got another couple 2 or 3 weeks before that window starts to close.
Talking to Chuck DeVore, the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Before I let you go, really quickly here, I never got your thoughts on Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, and that conversation he had with the assembled generals and admirals regarding standards of fitness. He has removed another member of the Navy's leadership because of a guy coming in named Hung Cao, who ran for Senate in Virginia. But on these moves and really on the idea of these standards, did you think that the Secretary was on point, or did you think that this meeting was much ado about nothing?
I think it was completely on point. Look, the enforcement of standards happens at the top, and the erosion of standards can happen very gradually over time. I was a company commander back, in the early 1990s for 3 years. And back then, if you didn't meet the height and weight standards, you couldn't get promoted. You couldn't go to any sort of special schools. Your career was basically put on hold until you took care of that height and weight standard and you could pass the physical training test. And, we've been seeing these photographs of, for example, senior naval enlisted personnel who are obese, and they're getting promoted. And I look at that, and it's like, excuse me, really? We've come